Chapter 376. The Sable led Wang Daoyuan and Mou out of the meeting hall, then returned to their respective residences. 2 days later, the Sable sent someone to invite Wang Daoyuan to her residence for a chat. Wang Daoyuan knew that the steward's medallion was ready, so he immediately rushed to the Sable's residence. Arriving at the entrance of the Black Martin's abode, the door automatically opened, and Wang Daoyuan walked straight in. The Sable's residence was very simple, no different from the residences of ordinary foundation establishment cultivators. It seemed that she didn't plan on staying here for too long. From the looks of it, this cave residence was quite thrifty. It was just that they wore too many clothes. They wore 3 layers on the inside and 3 layers on the outside. They even wore a black hooded cloak. Did they not know how to save on cloth? The Sable's other 2 stewards were also present. One was his clone, Mou, and the other was Jackdaw. Jackdaw wasn't a direct descendant of Blood Shadow. He was also a wandering cultivator that the Sable had recruited after arriving at the Shanbei branch. However, he'd been recruited relatively early. He'd been taken in by the Sable when he was only at the mid-stage of Qi refinement. He'd been with the Sable for more than 100 years now, and was the Sable's most trusted subordinate. Jackdaw was also one of Wang Daoyuan's targets for creating a clone. After taking him in, 4 of the 5 stewards would be his clones, and the last one would be himself. Once he became the Vice Hall Master, and the Sable was transferred away, he'd truly be able to cover the sky with one hand. Seeing him arrive, the Sable handed him a medallion and said, "From now on, you're the 5th steward. Although you haven't been here for long, you should be able to see that I don't get along with the Hall Master. That bitch Scarlet Fox may control most of the power in the branch, but she'll never be able to rise again. She used to be a member of the headquarters Blood Wolf, and one of the best among them. She opened her Violet Palace before the age of 80. A genius like her should have reached the late stage of the Violet Palace realm at the age of 200. However, she's still a mid-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator. Do you know why?" Wang Daoyuan realized that the Sable was quite vain and liked to be acknowledged by others. He was a professional at playing mind games. He immediately revealed a curious look and shook his head. The Black Martin was very satisfied with his reaction and continued, "She offended a Jindan stage ancestor from the Blood Shadow headquarters. He is one of the top figures in the Blood Shadow headquarters. Normally, people like Crimson Fox should stay at the headquarters and be specially fostered by Golden Core realm cultivators. And once they attain the advanced stage of the Violet Palace realm, they would directly enter the higher-ups. In the future, it would not be impossible for him to form his Golden Core and become an important figure in the headquarters. She had been sent to the barren land of Shanbei as a form of exile. This returning Wild Goose City Square only had 1 lower tier, 3 spiritual vein, which severely affected her cultivation speed. In addition, she needed to refine her prime magic artifact, which consumed an extremely large amount of spiritual energy and quintessential essence. If she wanted to cultivate to the late stage of the Zifu realm, it would take her another 100 years. He could forget about forming a golden core for the rest of his life. The people under her, no matter how capable they were at most a steward. I was sent by that Golden Core ancestor to deal with Scarlet Fox. So long as you have the ability to break through to the Zifu realm in the future, you can suppress that bitch Scarlet Fox. I'll be able to leave this barren land and return to the headquarters, and the position of Vice Hall Master will be yours. If you do well, you can be transferred to a wealthy branch as a Hall Master, or even be transferred back to the headquarters. It's not impossible for you to enter the upper echelons of the headquarters." Wang Daoyuan hastily declined. "This subordinate dares not. Jackdaw and Inkfeather came here before me. This subordinate dares not covet the position of Vice Hall Master." The Sable let out a long sigh. "Jackdaw and Mou aren't very talented. This is the end of their cultivation. Their comprehension is lacking, and they won't be able to comprehend the Violet Palace realm, much less establish one. I've long since given them the insights to break through to the Violet Palace realm, but they still haven't touched the edge of the Violet Palace realm. If that wasn't the case, I would have returned to the headquarters long ago. Why would I be stuck here for 100 years? Your talent is better than both of them. I hope you can establish your Violet Palace realm soon. I'll leave my position open for you. Wang Daoyuan immediately bowed. This subordinate will do his best to live up to Vice Hall Master's expectations. The sable nodded in satisfaction. Very good. You've become a steward, but you can't be without subordinates. I've lost many of my direct subordinates over the years, so I won't transfer them to you directly. Jackdaw and Ink Feather, each of you transfer a few subordinates to Minghu. You can handle this in private. Don't be too stingy. Who knows? Minghu might become your superior in the future. Jackdaw and Ink Feather nodded repeatedly. The three left the sable's residence and went to Wang Daoyuan's residence to discuss the issue of manpower. In the end, neither of them gave Wang Daoyuan 10 late and peak qi condensation cultivators and 2 early foundation establishment cultivators. Ink Feather even transferred Luosong to Wang Daoyuan. With the help of brokers, the recruitment process was naturally quick. In order to speed things up, Wang Daoyuan also recruited a few brokers without any backing. Now, half of the brokers in the entire Guiyan market were in his hands. Although brokers had low cultivation levels and didn't have any skills, they all had a large network of connections. However, each of them had quite a large network of connections in their hands. They were still very good at finding people and inquiring about information. Of course, their ability to gather information was far inferior to Bloodshadow's intelligence organization. In the past, when Wu Yi's clone expanded his manpower, he searched for people based on the list provided by brokers. Although this ensured that his subordinates were more loyal and prevented them from forming small groups, the efficiency was too low. After Wang Daoyuan recruited 2 clever mid-foundation establishment cultivators, he gave them the authority to recruit people. He would only personally act if he met a suitable late foundation establishment cultivator. In order to let them recruit people wholeheartedly, they would receive 100 contribution points and 100 spirit stones for every late qi condensation cultivator they recruited. For every foundation establishment cultivator they recruited, they would receive 1,000 to 2,000 contribution points and spirit stones. Of course, Wang Daoyuan wouldn't let them recruit people on the streets. The targets were still personally selected by Wang Daoyuan. He himself would do his best to carry out missions to earn spirit stones. On average, he would carry out a mission every half a month. Each mission would earn him between 5,000 to 6,000 to 10,000 spirit stones. A Zifu realm cultivator, carrying out a mission for a foundation establishment cultivator, would naturally be successful. Those dangerous missions that had been abandoned for decades or even centuries were mostly cleared by Wang Daoyuan. After a few years, Wang Daoyuan already had more than 200 qi condensation cultivators and 20 foundation establishment cultivators under his command. Among them, there were 3 late foundation establishment cultivators. The strength of his subordinates had already surpassed Wu Yi's clone. Scarlet Fox hadn't been idle these few years. He had properly dealt with Yu Lang's subordinates and took in a few reliable ones as his direct subordinates. The other subordinates that were arranged to carry out missions with high returns, but also high risks, were almost all dead by now. Now the Mystic Sable had 3 stewards and Zhou Wan had 2. In terms of the number of cultivators under her command, the Mystic Sable also had a considerable advantage. After being suppressed by Zhou Wan for decades, she had regained her advantage with the help of Wang Daoyuan. Her attitude towards Wang Daoyuan was naturally very good. In addition, Wang Daoyuan's flattery skills were not bad. He grasped her vanity and often made her laugh heartily. Now, Wang Daoyuan's trust had already surpassed Jackdaw's, and was second only to Mou, whom the Mystic Sable had brought from the headquarters. In these few years, he had also frequently entered the Mystic Sable's cave abode. Fortunately, the Mystic Sable was more conservative. If she was like Zhou Wan, she would tease him from time to time. These days, she would run to her cave abode every 2 to 3 days. A man and a woman would often be alone in a room. The baby would probably know how to play soy sauce. Now the time was ripe. It was also time to send away Wu Yi's clone and let the Mystic Sable have the absolute advantage. Chapter 377. Wang Daoyuan controlled Wu Yi's clone to discuss with Zhou Wan how to make Wu Yi's death more natural. Zhou Wan was already prepared, and had arranged a suicide mission for Wu Yi. It was really easy to work with smart people. The mission Zhou Luan arranged for Wu Yi was to kill a late-stage Foundation establishment leader of the Crimson Beard Bandits. Although the two leaders of the Crimson Beard Bandits had yet to establish their Violet Palace, they were half demons and had longer lifespans than humans. They had plenty of time. In the past few years, they had been constantly recruiting and had more than 10 Foundation establishment cultivators under their command. Among them, there were 3 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. Zhou Luan carried out Wang Daoyuan's plan to raise pigs. When she had nothing to do, she would kill a few of the Crimson Beard Bandits' leaders and make them go crazy and plunder everywhere. The bounties for the leaders of the Crimson Beard Bandits were rapidly increasing. This late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator was the 4th leader of the Crimson Beard Bandits, second only to the Crimson Beard brothers and Feng Linchuan. Feng Linchuan was a wind attribute cultivator and was very strong in battle. He went out to work more often, and his status also rose. Now he was also a peak Foundation establishment cultivator and had a high chance of establishing his Violet Palace. Wu Yi's target was the 4th leader. His cultivation had already reached the 9th stage of Foundation establishment. His battle prowess wasn't outstanding, but he was vicious and merciless. Every time he went out to plunder, he didn't leave anyone alive. As a result, his bounty was the fastest to rise. He had only joined the Crimson Beard Bandits 30 years ago, and his bounty had already reached 200,000 spirit stones. Although this person didn't seem to have any abilities, Zhou Luan had received the latest information that this 4th leader wasn't simple. He had a powerful trump card in his hand. His trump card was a low-grade 3rd-grade artifact nurturing gourd. Inside the gourd was a set of low-grade 3rd-grade mother-child needles. This set of needles was divided into a mother needle and 9 child needles. The mother needle could be used to control the child needles. Moreover, the 4th leader often filled the artifact nurturing gourd with poison to increase the killing power of the needles. Cultivators below the Violet Palace realm would find it very difficult to block the needles when they were caught off guard. After Zhou Luan learned of this information, she immediately detained him. Currently, in the Blood Shadow Mountains northern branch, only she and Wang Daoyuan knew about this. After the doppelganger Wu Yi accepted the task, he brought all his wealth to the Wu family's equipment refining workshop to buy a soft armor. Naturally, he left all his wealth in the equipment refining workshop. Then, he waited for 4th boss, near a small half-demon tribe that he was going to rob. Wang Daoyuan also randomly accepted a mission and left the Shanbei branch, following behind Wu Yi's doppelganger. Although this doppelganger was no longer of much use, and Wu Yi did not have much lifespan left, he still had to retrieve the doppelganger in his sea of consciousness. Wang Daoyuan only had 24 split souls left, and each one he lost was one less. How could he give them up so easily? After the 4th head led a group of red-beard bandits to rob a small tribe, Wu Yi's doppelganger launched a sneak attack. At first, he was suppressing the 4th boss, but after the 4th boss used the mother-child needles, Wu Yi was poisoned and escaped. Wang Daoyuan casually used a few methods to stop the 4th boss from chasing after him. After retrieving the doppelganger in Wu Yi's sea of consciousness, Wang Daoyuan immediately left. Naturally, the matter of discovering Wu Yi's corpse was arranged by Zhou Luan. Zhou Luan also pretended to hide the news of Wu Yi's death, and promoted the more reliable subordinates of Wu Yi to be her direct subordinate. The other cultivators did not make a move for the time being, and they did what they were supposed to do. After hiding it for 2 to 3 months, Zhou Luan purposely revealed a little flaw, and the mystic Martin quickly discovered Wu Yi's death. She called Wang Daoyuan and the other 2 to her cave abode to discuss this matter. Wang Daoyuan also took the opportunity to reveal that he had an opportunity to break through to the Violet Palace realm in preparation to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade. After arriving at the mystic Martin's cave abode, he asked, "Deputy Hall Master, recently, I've been feeling as if there's a door in front of me. The door is still ajar, and there's purple light behind it. I really want to go in, but I can't move." Jackdaw and Mo, you had both seen the experience of establishing the Violet Palace realm, so they naturally knew that this was the opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. The mystic Martin didn't dare to believe it, so she asked Wang Daoyuan about it. Wang Daoyuan was a Violet Palace realm cultivator, so it wasn't a problem for him to trick her. The mystic Martin was overjoyed when she believed that Wang Daoyuan really had an opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. After being sent to this godforsaken place for over 100 years, she finally had a chance to leave. She smiled and said, "Today is really a double blessing. That bitch Scarlet Fox's right-hand man is dead, and you have an opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. Oh right, do you have enough contribution points and spirit stones?" Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "My cultivation has long reached the peak of foundation establishment. I've been carrying out many missions in the past few years, so I haven't used up any spirit stones or contribution points. Now I have over 400,000 contribution points and 700,000 spirit stones. It's more than enough to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade." The mystic Martin nodded and said, "Since you have enough, then let's prepare to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade. Now that Wu Yi is dead, that bitch Scarlet Fox only has Lu Zong as her steward, so she's weak. Let's go to the conference hall and ask that bitch to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade." The three of them followed the mystic Martin to the conference hall and sent someone to invite Scarlet Fox. Not long after, Zhou brought Lu Zong into the conference hall and sat on the main seat. She asked, "Vice Hall Master, why did you invite me here?" The mystic Martin didn't mention Wu Yi and answered, "Hall Master, Minghu has already sensed the opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. If you want to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade, please take out the yin-yang purple jade." Zhou snorted and said, "The yin-yang purple jade is managed by the Hall Master. It's up to the Hall Master to decide who can exchange for it. Why is the Vice Hall Master trying to seize power?" The mystic Martin smiled and said, "The yin-yang purple jade is indeed managed by the Hall Master. It's also up to the Hall Master to decide who to give it to, but don't forget, there's still a headquarters above the Shanbei branch. According to Blood Shadow's rules, the Vice Hall Master has the right to stop all the Hall Master's decisions. If the Vice Hall Master and the Hall Master can't reach an agreement, they have to report it to the headquarters. The Hall Master can only make a decision when the branch is in danger of life and death. The yin-yang purple jade isn't related to the branch's life and death, right? If the Hall Master insists, then I can only use the Vice Hall Master's power. I'm afraid all your decisions will have to be reported to the headquarters in the future. I just don't know if your decision will be approved when it's reported to the headquarters." Zhou was furious. She slammed the table and stood up. "So you're saying that you're here to force me to abdicate?" After saying that, she gave Lu Zong a look, hinting for him to speak. Lu Zong usually pretended to be a man of few words, but now he didn't say a word. Wang Daoyuan mocked. "It seems that Steward Lu doesn't like to talk much, but Steward Wu is eloquent. I wonder why he didn't come today." Zhou said coldly, "It seems that you already know about Wu Yi. Don't think that you can do whatever you want because Wu Yi isn't here. If you really piss me off, dealing with you is just a matter of waving my hand." Black Martin smiled and said, "It's true that the Hall Master's strength is outstanding. Back then, you were second only to those proud sons of heaven in the Blood Wolf. I'm a person with average aptitude, so I naturally don't dare to compare with you. If you want to kill me, I have no ability to resist. It's just that I'm from the headquarters. Once I die, the headquarters will immediately get the news. At that time, the Hall Master will probably be hunted down endlessly by the Blood Wolf. This time, it's fine if you let Minghu exchange for the yin-yang purple jade. If you don't, I'll report it to the headquarters and sue you for abusing your power for personal gain and being jealous of ability. At that time, I'm afraid you won't be able to keep your position as the Hall Master." Zhou was so angry that her whole body was trembling, and her upper body was heaving up and down violently. Wang Daoyuan immediately looked away, lest he lose control. After dozens of breaths, Zhou calmed down and said, "It's fine to let Minghu exchange for the yin-yang purple jade, but I have a request." Chapter 378. Wang Daoyuan praised in his heart that Zhou Wan's ability to control her emotions was really strong. At this moment, she could hold back her laughter and even pretend to be angry. The mystic sable couldn't hide the pride in its tone. If you have any conditions, just say them. As long as you don't force me. Even if Minghu can't complete them, I'll still help him complete them. Zhou Wan tried hard to control her emotions. She said, if you don't have the ability to kill the fourth leader of the Red-Beard bandits, giving you the Yin-Yang purple jade would be a waste. Our spy reported that in 10 days, the Red-Beard bandits will rob the market square of the Valley of Gongquan, which is more than 8,000 li west of Guiyan Market Square. Only by carrying his head will you be qualified to exchange it for the Yin-Yang purple jade. Wang Daoyuan said disdainfully, and here I thought it would be a difficult task. It's just to kill a trash who only knows how to scheme. I'm not that idiot Wui, who can't even kill this kind of thing. Zhou Wan roared angrily, scram. The mystic sable didn't dare to continue mocking her, and left the meeting hall with the three of them. After Wang Daoyuan left the meeting hall, he bid farewell to the mystic sable, and headed towards the Valley of Gongquan. The Valley of Gongquan was located at the northern foot of Mount Huiyan. It was a valley with a radius of more than 100 li. There were 5 or 6 small foundation building clans, and 2 or 3 half-demon tribes around it. The northern part of the mountain wasn't peaceful. If they wanted to do business in Guiyan Market Square, the journey of several thousand li was too dangerous. Moreover, there was no water transportation, so it was inconvenient to transport large quantities of goods. Therefore, these foundation building clans and half-demon tribes built a small market square in the Valley of Gongquan. This market square was still dominated by humans. To avoid a large number of human casualties, Wang Daoyuan decided to settle the matter before the Red-Beard bandits entered the Valley of Gongquan. The humans in the northern part of the mountain had a hard time. He didn't have the time to take care of them. However, under the condition that he didn't delay the matter, he would help if he could. Wang Daoyuan arrived at a tall mountain about 500 li southeast of the Valley of Gongquan, and waited for the Red-Beard bandits to pass by. 10 days later, a flying boat about 10 zhang long flew over from the southeast. On the bow of the boat was the symbol of the Red-Beard bandits. Wang Daoyuan executed heaven-cleaving sword and muttered, "These Red-Beard pirates are really smart. They even have a flying boat. If they were allowed to continue growing, wouldn't they be playing with flying warships? It's a pity that these bastards only dare to bully the weaker forces. They don't dare to rashly attack the demon race." When the flying boat got closer, a giant sword shadow that was hundreds of meters long instantly took shape and slashed at the flying boat. Although the speed of the flying boat was not slow, in the face of the sudden attack of the huge sword, it was unable to dodge and was directly split into 2. In addition to the fourth master who escaped from the flying boat, nearly 100 chi refining cultivators, who were not killed by the giant sword, also fell to the ground and died. The fourth head fled into the air and shouted angrily, "Who dares to attack my Red-Beard bandits?" Wang Daoyuan was too lazy to pay attention to him. Not even 1/3 of the power of the giant sword shadow had been consumed. He continued to wave the giant sword and attacked the fourth leader. After establishing his Violet Palace, his strength had greatly increased, and the speed at which he wielded his huge sword had become extremely fast. The reason why he was able to escape from the flying boat previously was mainly because Wang Daoyuan's goal was to destroy the flying boat. Moreover, he was afraid that he would be chopped into pieces, and it would not be easy to report back with his head. Seeing the giant sword shadow slashing at him, the fourth head knew that dodging would not last long. He had to counterattack. He took out a black gourd, and 9 3-inch-long black needles flew out from the mouth of the gourd. Wang Daoyuan threw 9 tiger claw blades at the black needles. Back when he killed the 2 golden-striped tigers, he used the tiger claws to refine Dharma artifacts. He had not used them for so many years. The tiger claw blades were only second-grade Dharma artifacts, and their quality was inferior to the black needles. However, the quality of Dharma artifacts was not only dependent on their quality, but also on who was using them. The 9 tiger claw blades directly sent the needles flying without any damage. The needles were damaged and could not be used for a short period of time. The fourth head put away the flying needles and could only rely on his sword to escape. How could such a mediocre 9th-level foundation establishment cultivator escape from Wang Daoyuan? Soon, he was caught up and beheaded in a single strike. Wang Daoyuan kept the fourth head and the weapon-nurturing gourd, returning Wild Goose Market on his sword. After returning to the underground branch, he reported to the Mystic Martin. Thereafter, the Mystic Martin brought 3 stewards to the meeting hall. Wang Daoyuan took out the fourth head's head and smiled. "Hallmaster, this should be enough to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade, right?" Zhou Luan said emotionlessly. "Wait at the Green Wolf's place. I'll be there soon." The group arrived at the Green Wolf's cave abode. After waiting for half a cup of tea's time, Zhou Luan arrived as well. She took out a storage bag and handed it to the Mystic Martin. "Vice Hall Master, check it too. If there's no problem, hand over the spirit stones and contribution points." The Mystic Martin took the storage bag and opened it to take a look. She then handed it to Wang Daoyuan and nodded. "There's no problem with the items." Wang Daoyuan took the storage bag and hung it on his waist. He then took out 6,000 mid-grade spiritual stones and handed it over to the Green Wolf along with his identity token. He should have received 100,000 spiritual stones and contribution points for killing the fourth head. Now he only needed to hand over 600,000 spiritual stones and 250,000 contribution points. After the Green Wolf was done, Wang Daoyuan followed the Mystic Martin back to her cave abode. The Mystic Martin took out a storage bag and handed it to Wang Daoyuan. "This contains the insights I had when I was establishing my Violet Palace. Take a look at it before you establish your Violet Palace. It should be helpful. There are also life-saving items inside that might be useful to you. There's too much of a commotion when establishing your Violet Palace. If you stay here, I'm afraid that the branch will be exposed. It's best to find a safe place outside. Do you have a suitable place to establish your Violet Palace?" Wang Daoyuan replied. "When I was traveling in the early years, I found a cave abode in the sky/mountain range. As long as I set up an array disc, I can use it to resist demonic beasts for a period of time." The Mystic Martin nodded. "Since you have a suitable place, then I won't interfere in this matter. Do you need me to stand guard?" Wang Daoyuan shook his head. "There are very few foundation establishment cultivators that can threaten me. I'm only afraid that the Hall Master will kill me. As long as you can stall her, I'll sneak out. There won't be any problems." The Mystic Martin pondered for a moment and nodded. "All right. Be careful. I'll stay at the headquarters and keep an eye on that bitch." Wang Daoyuan bade farewell to the Mystic Martin and left the branch. He would roam around the sky/mountain range for a few months and return as a Violet Palace realm cultivator. Along the way, he couldn't stay idle for a few months. He could also search for some insights to enrich the spiritual items in the spiritual pearl. Within the spiritual pearl, he had already harvested a batch of spiritual herbs to refine the Meridian Shielding Pill and Violet Rhyme Pill. The second-generation Blood Dragon wood had also become a third-grade spiritual wood and could be used to make talisman paper. After settling the matter in Shanbei, he could return to his clan and improve his alchemy and talisman crafting skills. The Jade Dragon algae that he transplanted in the spiritual pearl didn't live well. Even if he watered them frequently with the Drought Rain Talisman and had the spiritual fire of life, only the first-grade Jade Dragon algae seedlings survived. He didn't know how long it would take for them to grow to the second or third grade. The original second and third grade Jade Dragon algae didn't survive. His clone threw the dead Jade Dragon algae into the fish pond and only created 2 second-grade high-grade clear river carps and 5 second-grade middle-grade clear river carps. Wang Daoyuan walked along the periphery of the sky/mountain range and headed north. Not long after, he arrived near the Blood Wolf Mountain. After the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf Pack of the Blood Wolf Mountain contacted the other wolf packs, the other wolf kings also sent out wolf demons to support the Blood Wolf Mountain. The White Fox and Silver Fox half-demon tribes also roped in some other half-demons. Now, both sides didn't dare to make a move easily and only confronted each other in the area of the Blood Wolf Mountain. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied with the state of both parties. They fought but didn't break and maintained a hostile state. As the mastermind behind the scenes, he had more room to operate. He didn't dare to get too close to the Blood Wolf Mountain, and didn't continue to explore north. Instead, he turned east and went deep into the Sky/Mountain range. Chapter 379. When Zifu disciples entered the Heavenchopper mountain range, unless they released their auras to offend the monstrous beasts, or engaged in battle, the monstrous beasts would turn a blind eye. After all, once a demonic beast reached the 3rd rank, its intelligence would be high enough. Fighting with others meant that there was a high chance of injury, and if the injury was serious, they might not be able to keep their territory. Therefore, as long as one did not trespass on the territory of a rank 3 demonic beast, and did not let it feel threatened, they would not take the initiative to attack. At most, they would roar out a warning. Wang Daoyuan tried his best to avoid rank 3 spirit veins within the Heavenly/Mountain range. As a result, the harvest wasn't that great. He didn't find any good spiritual items. There were only a few Tier 2 spirit herbs, and a Tier 2 upper-grade vine, the bone-binding vine. The bone-binding vine was suitable for the growth of what attribute spells. Its texture was extremely tough, and it was difficult for rank 2 demonic beasts to break free from it. Once it entangled a person or a demonic beast, it would not rest until one of them was dead. This thing was of little value to Wang Daoyuan, but planted at the edge of the Fallen Dragon Ridge formation, the effect of defending against rank 2 monsters was still very good. After roaming the Heavenchopper Mountains for 3 months, it was time for him to return as a Zifu disciple. Among the things that the Mystic Sable had prepared for him, there was a 3rd-grade lower-grade Earth Escape talisman, and a cloak mixed with spirit-forbidding silk. He was quite thoughtful. Cultivators who had just established their Violet Palace realm weren't able to properly restrain their aura. With the Soulbind silk cloak, he was able to conceal himself quite well, so as to avoid being noticed by Zifu disciples. He left the Sky/Mountain range and returned to the underground branch. Arriving at the Mystic Sable's abode, he revealed his Zifu realm spirit energy undulations. The Mystic Sable was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. I finally have someone who can open up the Zifu realm. Now that Scarlet Fox, that bitch, has been suppressed as well, I can apply to be transferred back to the headquarters from Elder Su. I will immediately send a letter to the headquarters and apply for a transfer back to the headquarters. I will also apply for the position of Deputy Hall Master for you. By the way, do you have any other requests? After the headquarters agreed, they would send the Vice Hall Master's identity token, proof, and other items. The branch here doesn't have any grade 3 phase. If you need anything, you can get the person who delivered the token to bring it over. Wang Daoyuan learned from MOU's memories that Blood Shadow's headquarters was also at the edge of the southern wasteland. Moreover, it was already within the southern wasteland. However, unlike the Divine Weapon Pavilion, which was located in the south of Beiyuan Xiuxian, the Blood Shadow headquarters was located in the southeast, close to the Sky/Mountain range. Because the southern desolation was close to the absolute heaven abyss, the spiritual energy was extremely violent. It was completely unsuitable for ordinary cultivators and demons to survive. The demon beasts that lived there were subjected to the impact of the violent spirit chi all year round. They had evolved into ferocious beasts with low intelligence, but extremely powerful physical bodies and innate magical abilities. The headquarters of Blood Shadow had a level 5 formation that had been passed down since ancient times. It could turn the violent spirit chi into normal spirit chi, allowing the members of Blood Shadow to live normally in the southern wasteland. The concentration of spiritual chi in the southern wasteland was actually relatively high. If it wasn't for the fact that it was too violent, it would definitely be a holy land for cultivation. With the protection of the violent spiritual power of the southern wasteland, even if the other forces knew the location of the Blood Shadow headquarters, they would not dare to act rashly. However, the headquarters of Blood Shadow was hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Shanbei branch. The communication jade talisman was unable to transmit messages over such a long distance. Every branch of the Blood Shadow had set up a communication formation. The message from the Shanbei branch had to pass through the communication array of many branches before it could reach the headquarters. Blood Shadow also knew how to keep secrets. Only the headquarters could read the specific content of the message sent by the communication array. Wang Daoyuan replied, I need materials to refine a natal magic weapon, as well as level 3 magical arts. I had killed a disciple of the Beiyuan sword sect a few years ago, and obtained the incomplete inheritance of the Beiyuan sword sect through soul searching. I can be considered half a sword cultivator. These things are naturally useful in the foundation establishment stage, but they are not enough once you reach the Violet Palace stage. The Black Marten nodded and said, the Beiyuan sword codex was already in the hands of the headquarters a few hundred years ago. A trash Violet Palace inheritance is not a big deal. What kind of natal magic weapon do you plan to refine, and what materials do you need? Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, I have the method to refine the Tai Tiger sword. The other materials are easy to find, but I really have no way to refine the Tai Gold essence. The Tai Tiger sword could not be considered a brilliant natal magic weapon, but its attack power was extremely strong. The material of the Tai Tiger sword was similar to the White Tiger blade. In order to fool others, Wang Daoyuan converted all the spiritual energy in his body into the metal element, and disguised himself as a metal element cultivator. It was reasonable for him to refine the Tai Tiger sword. Hearing that Wang Daoyuan wanted the Tai Gold essence, the Black Marten was a little surprised. With your talent, there will be a Violet Palace phenomenon when you establish your Violet Palace. What is your Violet Palace phenomenon? Wang Daoyuan said proudly, I really can't hide it from you. My Violet Palace phenomenon is the golden-eyed jade tiger. The golden-eyed jade tiger possessed the bloodline of the divine beast, the white tiger. Its relationship with the white tiger was similar to the relationship between a flood dragon and a true dragon. With the golden-eyed jade tiger phenomenon, it was more suitable for him to use the Tai Tiger sword as his natal magic weapon. The Black Marten pondered for a moment and said, the golden-eyed jade tiger phenomenon has a high chance of forming the golden core. If you cultivate well, you might be able to enter the headquarters in the future and become a golden core cultivator. The Tai Gold essence is also an extremely precious spiritual item in the headquarters, and it's not easy to take it out. However, a cultivator with the golden-eyed jade tiger phenomenon is worth far more than a third-grade Tai Gold essence. I can inform Elder Su of your value when I send the message. Elder Su has a heart of love for talents. As long as you work for Elder Su, a piece of Tai Gold essence won't be a problem. Wang Daoyuan immediately bowed. I don't know Elder Su. I only know that it was the Vice Hall Master who gave me the opportunity to establish my Violet Palace. The Black Marten nodded in satisfaction. It's good that you can think of it this way. If you nurture another Violet Palace realm cultivator in the future, I will help you return to the headquarters. With your talent, you will definitely shine brightly at the headquarters. The Black Marten was flattered by Wang Daoyuan. He dared to boast about promoting him even before he returned to the headquarters. However, nurturing a Violet Palace realm cultivator was also a great contribution to the branch's Hall Master and Vice Hall Master. Especially a Violet Palace realm cultivator with the potential to form the golden core. The Hall Master and Vice Hall Master would be rewarded greatly. With Elder Su suppressing the headquarters, Zhou Wan naturally wouldn't be able to get the credit. At that time, wouldn't all the benefits fall into the Black Marten's hands? With this contribution, the years of hard work dealing with Zhou Wan and Elder Su's activities, it wouldn't be difficult for him to enter the middle management of the headquarters. Wang Daoyuan naturally thanked him profusely and praised the Black Marten to the sky. After chatting for a while, the Black Marten went to the branch's communication array and reported the situation to the headquarters. Wang Daoyuan returned to his cave and controlled his clone Lu Zong to go to Zhou Wan's cave to inquire about the situation. After Lu Zong entered Zhou Wan's cave, he found her drinking wine and laughing foolishly from time to time. Lu Zong coughed lightly. Hall Master, why are you so happy? Zhou Wan smiled and replied, isn't it because the plan is about to succeed? That bitch the Black Marten is really stupid. She was fooled and thought that she had already subdued me. Lu Zong sat beside the stone table and said, "Can you be a little more mature? As a Midzifu realm cultivator, who possesses the phenomenon of a divine beast, is it worth being so happy to be fooled by an idiot?" Zhou Wan glanced at him and said, "Why do you care? On the other hand, you run to the Black Martin's cave every 2 to 3 days. Do you have any ulterior motives? If I didn't know that bitch, the Black Martin, had always wanted to marry my defeated opponent, I would really suspect that the two of you are having an affair." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Why are you jealous?" Zhou Wan picked up a spiritual fruit and threw it at Lu Zong. "Nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth. What business do you have with me?" Lu Zong dodged the spiritual fruit and smiled. "I have something to ask the Hall Master. The Vice Hall Master's token has been issued. If I accept it, will the headquarters know my identity through the token and monitor my whereabouts?" Chapter 380. Zhou Wan took a sip of wine and replied, "It's impossible for them to know your identity directly. As for monitoring your whereabouts, they do have a secret technique that can sense the location of the medallion. However, the northern part of the mountain is too far away from the headquarters. It's already out of their detection range. As long as you don't run to the southern wasteland, they won't be able to find you. Moreover, their detection technique can only sense the approximate location. It's not a big deal. If you really want to travel to the southern wasteland, you just have to put the medallion somewhere else." Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan relaxed. "I was afraid that the Blood Shadow sect would have some kind of secret technique. After the medallion recognizes me as its master, they would have some kind of method to find out my identity or monitor my whereabouts. If they really have this ability, I'll capture a Zifu realm cultivator and control him to make the medallion recognize me as its master. Since they don't have such a secret technique, then forget it." In the next few months, Wang Daoyuan stayed in the cave and cultivated, pretending to consolidate his cultivation. However, he didn't relax his attention to the outside world. His clone Lu Zong would go to Zhou Wan's cave every few days to ask about the recent happenings. In the past few months, the overall situation was rather stable. At the Blood Wolf Mountain, the demons and half-demons didn't even fight on a small scale. Beiyuan also didn't dare to bring the wolf bone to the Wu clan's equipment forging workshop to ask Bai Sheng to forge equipment for her. However, the Red-Beard bandits were more active recently. A 9th-level Foundation Establishment 4th Master and more than 100 small fries were all killed by Wang Daoyuan. They didn't know who did it. They only knew that the flying boat was cut in half by the sky-severing sword, and the 4th Master was beheaded by the sky-severing sword. There were many cultivators who knew how to use the sky-severing sword, but only the direct disciples of the Beiyuan sword sect could have such power. In the past few months, the Red-Beard bandits frequently attacked the Beiyuan sword sect's businesses. They had flying boats to travel, so normal Foundation Establishment cultivators couldn't catch up to them. On the surface, the Beiyuan sword sect only had 2 Zifu realm cultivators, so it was difficult for them to take care of all their businesses. Currently, the Beiyuan sword sect had suffered heavy losses, and the Red-Beard bandits had gained a lot. Blood Shadow's headquarters had sent someone to inform them of their arrangements for Wang Daoyuan, as well as some things. The Black Martin sent someone to invite Wang Daoyuan to her Immortals cave, but he did not see anyone who came to deliver anything. The Black Sable passed a storage pouch to him and said, "This is your Vice Hall Master token and the Beiyuan Sword Codex. Elder Su has agreed to transfer me back to the headquarters. From now on, you will be the Deputy Hall Chief of the Shanbei branch." Wang Daoyuan took the storage bag and opened it. There was a jade token inside. He took out the token and saw that the words Blood Shadow were written on one side of the token. The words on the other side were also very complicated, like patterns rather than words. This was an ancient language. Wang Daoyuan had learned some of it after joining Blood Shadow. Naturally, he recognized the words on the token. It was Deputy Hall Master of the Shanbei branch Ming Hu. In addition to the token, there was also a beast skin book. However, this book was relatively thin and only had a few pages. The words Beiyuan Sword Codex were written on the book cover. It should be the core inheritance of the Beiyuan sword sect. However, there was no great unity essence gold in the storage bag. Wang Daoyuan was a little disappointed. He asked the Black Martin, "May I ask Vice Hall Master if this great unity essence gold cannot be exchanged?" The Black Martin answered, "Of course it can be exchanged. However, the steward does not have the authority to exchange for Tier 3 phase. Even the Vice Hall Masters and Hall Masters have restrictions when exchanging for Tier 3 phase. I have already exchanged for plenty of Tier 3 phase, and I will not be able to do so for the time being. You will need to officially become the Vice Hall Master before applying to the headquarters. Elder Su has already agreed to exchange for Tier 3 Great Unity Essence Gold. As long as you apply in the name of the Vice Hall Master, the headquarters will naturally approve. By then, someone will send the Great Unity Essence Gold to you. There is no need to send the Tier 3 Great Unity Essence Gold from the headquarters. The Three River Branch already has some. The Three River Branch is the head of all the branches in the Kingdom of Zhao, and there are plenty of Tier 3 phase there. Our Shanbei Branch might not be under the direct jurisdiction of the Three River Branch, but we still need to rely on them to transfer some items. Once the headquarters approves, someone will send it to you in a few days." After hearing this, Wang Daoyuan felt relieved. The Black Martin smiled and said, "Vice Hall Master, you better hurry up and get this token recognized. You still need to hand over your duties later. I have been looking forward to returning to the headquarters for over 100 years. Now that my wish has finally come true, let me leave as soon as possible." Wang Daoyuan didn't say anything else, and dripped a drop of essence blood on the token. He extended a wisp of divine senses inside, and condensed a divine senses imprint. In less than 100 breaths of time, the token recognition was completed. The Black Martin nodded with satisfaction and said, "From now on, you will be the Shanbei Branch's Vice Hall Master." Finishing its statement, it handed a thick beast skin book to Wang Daoyuan. "These are the things you need to know. There is an overview of the Shanbei Branch, the Vice Hall Master's duties, and the name list of your subordinates. Apart from the duties in this beast skin book, your most important mission is to suppress that B*TCH Scarlet Fox." Wang Daoyuan took the beast skin book and said, "Don't worry, Vice Hall Master. I will definitely not let Scarlet Fox have an easy time." The Black Martin smiled and said, "You are the Vice Hall Master now. I believe that with your ability, you will definitely be able to suppress Scarlet Fox. When I return to the headquarters, I can't be without my own trusted subordinates. The subordinates I brought from the headquarters probably won't listen to your commands. Rather than staying here to cause trouble, it is better to bring them back to the headquarters. Your ability to recruit subordinates is not bad. You should be able to replenish them quickly. Let MOU continue to stay here. He doesn't have the potential to open up the Violet Palace. Even if he returns to the headquarters, he will only be at the bottom. It is better for him to be a steward here. You were recruited into the Blood Shadow by him. The two of you should have a good relationship. Let him continue to stay under you." Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied with the way the Black Martin dealt with the aftermath. It would be troublesome for the subordinates she brought from the headquarters to stay in the Shanbei Branch. Other than the Black Martin, they wouldn't submit to anyone. There were many of them, and it was impossible to refine all of them into doppelgangers. If he got rid of them, their families in the headquarters would also find trouble with him. It was better for the Black Martin to bring these troublesome matters back to the headquarters. As for MOU, if he was brought back to the headquarters, Wang Daoyuan was really afraid that someone would notice some clues. It was also good to keep him under him. He couldn't stay in the Shanbei Branch for a long time. If he kept him, he could help him to handle some matters. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "I will follow your instructions." The Black Martin nodded and said, "I will bring you to see the communication formation. If there is anything, just send a message to the headquarters. Although your innate talent is not bad, you are still slightly inferior to that bitch Scarlet Fox. Her cultivation is higher than yours. Don't go head to head with her. If she does anything out of line, just send a message directly to the headquarters. With me and Elder Su around, she won't be able to make any big waves." Soon after, she opened a stone door on the back wall of the cave. Inside was the communication formation. In the middle of the communication formation was a stone round platform with a diameter of about 10 feet. Around it stood 8 pillars with a diameter of about 1 foot. The formation was connected to the spirit vein. There was no need to place spirit stones. Soon after, the Black Martin's spiritual sense probed into the round stone platform. After a few breaths of time, the round platform flickered with a few rays of light. The Black Martin smiled and said, "This communication formation is related to your Deputy Hallmaster token. There is another one on Scarlet Fox's side that is related to the Hallmaster token. The way to use it is similar to the Communication Jade Talisman. You can report to the headquarters about taking over the position of Deputy Hallmaster in exchange for the Tai Essence Gold. If there is a reply, your Deputy Hallmaster token will be able to receive the message. Usually, you can directly use the token to send a message to the headquarters. The message will be sent to the headquarters through this formation. But in this case, if there is someone on the other side of the formation, they can intercept your message." Chapter 381. Wang Daoyuan nodded, then used a formation to send a message, reporting that he had taken over as Vice Hall Master and had applied for Tai Essence Gold. About 2 hours later, a message came from the headquarters, indicating that they already knew that he had taken over as Vice Hall Master. The Tai Essence Gold would be delivered within 10 days. The Sable smiled. "All right, there's news from the headquarters. The handover is complete. I should return to the main hall. With MOU and Jackdaw here, you won't have any problems. I'll leave you with 5 of my direct subordinates. They were originally independent cultivators from Shanbei, so they have some ability. I've already packed my things. I'll leave the Vice Hall Master's cave residence to you. You can move in at any time." With that, the Sable walked out of the cave residence and left the underground branch with more than 30 Foundation establishment cultivators. With the Sable gone, it was time for Wang Daoyuan to clean up the mess. The cultivators under the stewards didn't know much about the higher-ups, so there was no need to clean them up. The only ones he had to deal with were Jackdaw and the 5 direct subordinates left behind by the Sable. They weren't like the cultivators from the headquarters, who left things like soul lamps. After they were killed, the headquarters would immediately know. If too many of them died, the headquarters would definitely send people to investigate. After the Sable left, no one would care about it except for the 5 direct subordinates. He had to get rid of the bigger threats first. The first thing he had to deal with was Jackdaw. He had followed the Sable for more than 100 years. There was no way he could be of one mind. Keeping him alive would only ruin his plans. If he killed him, there would be no one to manage his subordinates, which would be very troublesome. He might as well refine him into a clone and keep him to manage his subordinates. After Wang Daoyuan moved into the Vice Hall Master's cave residence, he had Jackdaw and MOU come to see him. As a new official, he had to explain some things to his subordinates. Jackdaw didn't suspect anything. After the 2 of them entered the cave, Wang Daoyuan closed the door. He walked to Jackdaw's side and patted his shoulder. Jackdaw thought he was going to say something, but Wang Daoyuan suddenly used the soul-splitting blade and hit Jackdaw's forehead. Then he took out a soul-nurturing pendant, took out a soul fragment, and injected it into Jackdaw's sea of consciousness. Afterward, he put Jackdaw back into the soul pearl. With the help of the flow of time in the space, the divided soul could quickly control the avatar. 4 hours later, Jackdaw had complete control over the clone. Wang Daoyuan let him out of the spirit pearl's space, and let him and MOU leave the cave together. After dealing with the steward, it was even easier to deal with the 5 direct subordinates. These people were all in the middle stage of the Foundation establishment stage, and were not well versed in the arts of cultivation. They were not of much value, so there was no need to refine them into clones. He assigned them to Jackdaw and MOU, and gave them a few dangerous missions. That was about it. 5 days later, the shopkeeper of the welcoming Immortals Tower sent a message, saying that there was a cultivator at the peak of the Foundation building realm in the store, who wanted to see Vice Hall Master Ming Hu. Wang Daoyuan left the underground branch. Under the guidance of the waiter, He arrived at a small courtyard in the backyard of the Immortals' welcoming tower. The newcomer was a Peak Foundation establishment cultivator, dressed in the attire of a rogue cultivator. Seeing Wang Daoyuan come in, the man asked, "May I ask if you are the Deputy Hall Master of the Shanbei branch, Senior Ming Hu?" Wang Daoyuan took out his token and said, "I am Ming Hu." The man took out a foot-long stone box from his storage bag and bowed. "I am here on the orders of the Tri-River Branch's Hall Master, to deliver something to Vice Hall Master Ming Hu. The Hall Master gave this to me, and didn't open it on the way. Please verify its authenticity, Vice Hall Master. However, there is a restriction on this box, and I don't have the means to open it. The Hall Master said that you will naturally know how to open it after receiving it." Wang Daoyuan condensed spiritual energy in his hand, and slapped the stone box. The stone box was only a high-grade Tier 2 magic artifact, and was not strong enough. Although his palm didn't break the stone box, all the restrictions were destroyed. Inside was Tai pure gold, which was said to be the hardest material of its grade. Even a Tier 3 magic artifact would find it difficult to damage it. Wang Daoyuan's palm would not cause any damage to it. After the restrictions were destroyed, the box naturally opened. When the lid was lifted, a wave of killing intent rushed out. Wang Daoyuan was a dignified Zifu realm cultivator, but he felt a slight sting on his face. The Peak Foundation establishment cultivator, who delivered the item, took a few steps back. After the killing intent disappeared, there was an irregular spherical metal material with a diameter of about 5 inches. This metal was dazzling silver white and looked exactly the same as the legendary Tai pure gold. He wrapped his hand with gold spiritual energy and took the Tai pure gold out of the box. He weighed it and found that it weighed more than 15 kilograms. Blood Shadow was really generous. He used the golden saber technique and slashed the Tai pure gold, but it did not leave any marks on it. This was definitely Tai pure gold. Wang Daoyuan put it into the stone box and smiled. "There is no problem with the item. Thank you for making this trip." After saying that, he used the Vice Hall Master token to send a message to the headquarters, telling them that he had received the Tai pure gold. After a few breaths, the headquarters replied that 150,000 contribution points would be deducted. This price was a little too cheap. Generally speaking, a piece of primordial essence gold that weighed more than 15 kilograms should be worth at least 300,000 spirit stones. It seemed that Elder Su valued him very much and directly gave him a half-price discount. Unfortunately, he was going to disappoint him. Speaking of which, Zhou had always said that the Black Martin was an idiot. She was not wrong. It was fine that she was fooled by him this time, but she did not expect that he had refined her most trusted MOU into a clone. He had just become the Vice Hall Master, and Elder Su was already so generous. Previously, the Black Martin had been here for more than 100 years. How many resources had Elder Su invested in her? With so many resources, not only did he not kill Zhou, but his cultivation also did not catch up. The resources that Elder Su had invested for more than 100 years were all fed to dogs. After the headquarters replied, the cultivator who delivered the item left and returned to the Three River branch. Wang Daoyuan also brought the Tai pure gold back to the underground branch. Refining the white tiger blade only required about 10 kilograms of Tai pure gold. There were still more than 20 kilograms of Tai pure gold left, and he could keep it well. In the future, if he wanted to refine metal attribute magic weapons, he only needed to add a little Tai pure gold to greatly increase their strength. One of his main goals of sneaking into the Shanbei branch had been achieved. However, he was not in a hurry to refine the white tiger blade now. Refining the white tiger blade was not as easy as refining the black tortoise shield. The main material of the black tortoise shield was the spirit spring pearl. It was invisible and did not need to be forged. The two materials of the white tiger blade, Tai pure gold and demonic gold, were both famous for their hardness. They needed to be forged into shape before they could be stored in the body. Forging would cause too much of a commotion. He really did not feel at ease if his safety was not guaranteed in the Shanbei branch. It was better to wait until he had settled the matters here and return to the Jade Spring Peak. 2 months later, With the cooperation of Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan, the 5 direct cultivators left behind by the Black Martin all died in the mission. The cultivators that he had pulled up before were all recruited later, and had nothing to do with the Black Martin. The cultivators under Jackdaw and MOU rarely came into direct contact with the Black Martin, so their involvement was not too deep. The Black Martin had already returned to the headquarters. Even if some people were still loyal to the Black Martin, they did not have the ability to contact her, so there was no need to eliminate them for the time being. After cleaning up the Black Martin's forces, he found a few cultivators with decent potential among the cultivators he had recruited, and took them in as his direct subordinates. The rest of the manpower was divided between Jackdaw and MOU, the 2 stewards. Wang Daoyuan only treated the Blood Shadow Mountain's northern branch as a channel for him to fish for resources. He did not really want to become a vice hall master here. He had already obtained what he could obtain so far. There was no need to continue staying here. After bidding farewell to Zhou Wan, it was time to return to the clan. Chapter 382. Wang Daoyuan used shadow evasion to leave his cave, and headed towards Zhou Wan's cave. It was rather dark in the depths of the branch, making shadow evasion the most suitable. If other cultivators didn't use their spiritual sense, they wouldn't be able to find him easily. After entering Zhou Wan's cave, he found her hugging a wine jar, crying and laughing at the side of the stone table. Wang Daoyuan walked to the stone table and sat down asking, "What's going on? Now that you've tricked the Black Martin away, you'll be in charge of the Shanbei branch in the future. You should be happy. Why are you crying?" Zhou Wan smiled bitterly. "Do you think I've lived for more than 100 years in vain? I opened my Violet Palace when I was 70 years old, and I'm only at the middle stage of the Violet Palace realm now that I'm 230 years old. I've been suppressed by the Black Martin for more than 100 years, and I had to rely on you to trick her away. I've been busy for more than 100 years, but I don't have a single steward under me. Maybe if I wasn't so competitive back then, I wouldn't have reached this stage." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Are you showing off your cultivation speed? Reaching the middle stage of the Violet Palace realm in 200 years is a golden core seedling in any power. You weren't suppressed by the Black Martin for more than 100 years, but by Elder Su. He's a golden core cultivator, and he's one of the most powerful figures in Blood Shadow. It's normal for a Violet Palace realm cultivator like you to lose to him. When I just took office, Elder Su gave me a discount of more than 100,000 contribution points in exchange for Tai Gold Essence. Think about it, how many resources did he give to the Black Martin in the past 100 years? She has so many resources, and she's been running this place for more than 100 years, but she still can't do anything to you. It's only been 2 months, and we've completely eradicated her influence. If you want to talk about living for nothing, then she's the one who's truly lived for nothing. With your talent and more than 100 years of accumulation, you'll be able to cultivate to the peak of the Violet Palace realm in a few decades. Forming a golden core isn't difficult for you. As for the Black Martin, she can only be a Violet Palace realm cultivator for the rest of her life. She's trying to curry favor with your defeated opponent. Compared to this thing, it's too cheap." Zhou Wan took off his mask, picked up the wine jar, and drank a few mouthfuls. He said, "You really know how to talk. My mood is much better now." Wang Daoyuan had never seen Zhou Wan's face before. Looking at her face at this time, he was stunned. A verse from the Book of Songs appeared in his mind. "Hands soft as silk, skin as creamy as jade, collar like a bamboo, teeth like a gourd, beautiful head with moon-like eyebrows, beautiful smile and beautiful eyes." After a long time, Wang Daoyuan came back to his senses. "Haven't you always been wearing a mask? Why did you suddenly take off your mask?" Zhou Wan didn't take it seriously and said, "If it weren't for this face, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Ever since I left the headquarters, I have never taken off my mask in front of anyone, nor have I met anyone who was worthy of me taking off my mask. What's wrong with you? Your face is red." Wang Daoyuan felt that his face was a little hot and explained, "I'm drunk." Zhou Wan looked at him and smiled but didn't say anything. Wang Daoyuan coughed lightly and said, "I'm here to say goodbye. I've also sent the Black Sable away, And I've also obtained the Grand Unity Gold Essence and Yin Yang Purple Jade that I wanted. I'm going back to the clan to refine the White Tiger Blade. I promised you that I would use the Purple Rhythm Pill to exchange for the Yin Yang Purple Jade and information. My alchemy skills aren't good enough to refine the Purple Rhythm Pill. I need to improve it. The smile on Jolwan's face disappeared. She took out a wine jar from the storage bag at her waist and said, "Drink with me." Wang Daoyuan took the wine jar and drank with Jolwan. The two of them drank very slowly and used more than 4 hours to finish the jar of wine. Wang Daoyuan took out a storage bag and handed it to Jolwan. He said, "There are 50 jars of spirit peach dew. They're all aged for more than 70 years. Drink them sparingly. I can't refine the Purple Rhythm Pill for the time being. There are also 10 black jade lotus seeds inside. Take it as compensation." Jolwan took the storage bag and took out a black cloak with golden edges. She handed it to Wang Daoyuan. "You often run around outside. This cloak is made of spirit forbidding silk. It'll be easier for you to escape when you encounter danger." Wang Daoyuan took out a 4-layer spirit forbidding silk cloak and placed it on the table. He said, "This one weighs 5 kilograms and can be used as a quilt. I'll give it to you." Jolwan said self-deprecatingly, "It's my fault. I forgot that you raise spirit forbidding silkworms." Wang Daoyuan took the cloak from her hand. "The gift is light, but the thought is heavy. I'll accept this thought." Hearing this, Jolwan's cheeks flushed red. She was silent for a long time. Wang Daoyuan took out a jade communication talisman and handed it to her. He smiled. "This jade communication talisman can send messages within 20,000 kilometers. Jade Spring Peak is only 10,000 kilometers away from here. If you have any information, send me a message. Jackdaw is under my control now. I've given the Vice Hall Master's command medallion to MOU. They'll cooperate with you." With that, Wang Daoyuan walked out of the cave and left the underground branch. He flew straight east. After entering the Heaven/Mountain range, he circled south and returned to Jade Spring Peak. When he arrived at Jade Spring Peak, he discovered that the recliner under the ancient pine in front of the scripture tower was already empty. He probed the ancestral shrine with his spiritual sense and found that Taigong's memorial tablet was already inside. Although he was mentally prepared, he still found it hard to accept that the elder who had watched him grow up had passed away. With a long sigh, he entered the ancestral shrine and lit incense for Taigong. He then went to the family cemetery in the back mountain and kowtowed a few times in front of Taigong's grave. He returned to Taigong's recliner and stood beside it for a long time until his third brother came to console him. "Seventh brother, don't be too sad." Before Taigong died, he said that although he couldn't see the glory of our ancestors, he didn't have any regrets. "With you and 12th uncle around, it's only a matter of time. When the family produces a golden core cultivator, you can go to his grave and say a word. He'll be able to smile in the underworld." Wang Daoyuan nodded and returned to his cave. The dead were already long gone, and the living should be encouraged. Rather than grieving over Taigong's passing, it was better to fulfill his wish as soon as possible. After returning to his cave, he began to refine the White Tiger Blade. Tai Essence Gold and Heavenly Demon Gold were both relatively strong. They needed to be calcined with fire before they could be forged. Metal attribute spirit fires were hard to come by, and he currently didn't have any fire attribute spirit fires. He could only use blood dragon charcoal to calcine the two materials. For the White Tiger Blade, the tiger's body was the hilt, and the tiger's head was the sword drum. The blade was spat out from the tiger's mouth, and the white tiger's 2 front paws hugged the blade. Both materials were very strong, but the primordial Unity Essence Gold was still superior. Therefore, the main material of the blade was Tai Essence Gold. The blade had to be entirely made of Tai Essence Gold. The white tiger carving emphasized more power and required a stronger killing intent. The Heavenly Demon Gold was the main material, and Tai Essence Gold was the supplementary material. After spending 2 months, all the third-grade blood dragon wood in the space had been cut down. The tree barks were given to Li Qingchuan to make talisman papers. The branches were all used to calcine the Tai Essence Gold and Heavenly Demon Gold. The huge price was not paid for nothing. The white tiger blade had been completely forged. At this moment, the blade was already emitting a threatening killing intent. However, the weapon pattern had yet to be inscribed, and the killing intent was only from the raw materials. The current white tiger blade was only a sword embryo. He kept the white tiger blade in his dantian, used his spiritual sense to inscribe the weapon pattern, and nurtured it with his spiritual power and true essence. Finally, he kept it in his sea of consciousness, released his Dharma idol, and imitated the white tiger avatar outside his purple mansion. He also infused his understanding and spiritual sense into the white tiger blade. 5 years later, the white tiger blade was completely nurtured. The entire white tiger blade did not look like an artifact at all. There was not even a trace of spiritual power, let alone the sharpness and killing intent of the Tai essence gold, and the killing intent of the heavenly demon gold. The brilliance was restrained, and the edge was hidden. This was the true white tiger blade. He infused his metal attribute spiritual power into the white tiger blade. The white tiger carving's eyes emitted a dazzling light, and a monstrous aura shot into the sky. Chapter 383. At that moment, all the clansmen on the mountain felt the power. The mortals felt as if thunder was about to strike, and the chi refinement cultivators felt a pressure. Other than the 12th uncle, the foundation establishment cultivators felt as if they were being stared at by a ferocious beast. As for the 12th uncle and 5th uncle, they felt as if the heavenly tribulation was about to arrive, and they would die at any moment. Wang Daoyuan did not expect the white tiger blade to be so powerful, and he immediately stopped injecting spirit energy. The monstrous power disappeared, and the white tiger blade returned to normal. Whether it was during normal times, or when it was activated, the murderous aura of the grand unity essence gold, and the heaven ferocious gold, could no longer be found on the white tiger blade. The two auras merged perfectly, turning into a monstrous power. The white tiger blade was very successful. At that moment, Wang Jian, who was sitting cross-legged beside the dragonfish corpse, felt the power of the white tiger blade. He opened his eyes, smiled, and continued to feel the charm of the dragonfish. Wang Shui, who was in seclusion in the cave, felt the power of the white tiger blade, and fell into deep thought. Wang Daoyuan put the white tiger blade back into his dantian, and took out the fire phoenix purple sun furnace, to try refining the meridian shield pill. This pill furnace was taken from Zhao Baogua back then, and it was only a second-grade mid-grade pill furnace. Later on, he obtained some second-grade high-grade purple sun copper, and used the smelting method to merge the essence into the furnace, causing it to become a second-grade high-grade pill furnace. Now it was barely enough to refine a third-grade low-grade pill. In fact, with Wang Daoyuan's current spiritual sense cultivation, he could refine pills without a pill furnace, but it would affect the success rate and consume too much of his spiritual sense. It had been 70 to 80 years since his alchemy skills reached second-grade high-grade. However, he did not need to refine higher-grade pills, so he did not specifically improve his alchemy skills. With decades of accumulation and a powerful spiritual sense, refining the meridian shielding pill did not have many twists and turns. After the first failure, he successfully refined 2 meridian shield pills in the second furnace. After refining 10 furnaces, his success rate stabilized at 45%. This level, among the third-tier lower-grade alchemists, could be considered to be above average. He was still a step away from refining the purple rhythm pill. Subsequently, he began to attempt to refine rank 3 spirit talismans. There were ready-made tier 3 talisman papers in the space, and the tier 3 spirit ink clan also stored quite a few. The tier 3 talisman brush was bought from the divine weapon pavilion. With the relationship between the Wang clan and Taoist Lei Yan, buying a tier 3 talisman brush wasn't a problem. When the Tao of talismans reached the 3rd level, it entered a new stage. It could be said that level 1 and 2 talismans were just laying the foundation. At the 3rd level, spirit talismans were divided into different schools. There were 3 main types of sword talismans. Sword talismans unique to sword cultivators, soul talismans refined from the souls of demon beasts, and magic talismans that could release high-level spells. These 3 schools each had their own strengths. Among them, the soul talisman could be used multiple times until the spirit energy was exhausted. Talismans required the least amount of materials and were extremely powerful. However, they could only be used once. The sword talisman was the most special. It did not seem like a simple talisman, but more like a special magic tool. Sword talismans could only be made by sword cultivators who had comprehended sword intent. After its power was exhausted, it could be stored in the dantian to be nurtured. Of course, sword talismans required the highest amount of materials and were similar to the materials used to refine magic tools of the same level. It was a pity that Wang Daoyuan did not have the legacy of these three schools of spirit talismans. The legacy of spirit talismans in his hands were only of the most basic type. They were the defensive 5 elements divine armor talisman, the offensive 5 elements divine sword talisman, and the 5 elements escape talisman. Compared to a tier 2 talisman, they were only more powerful. Offensive and escape talismans were meaningless to him. The 5 elements divine armor talisman was still useful. Wang Daoyuan started with the thick earth divine armor talisman and tried to refine a tier 3 talisman. The Tao of talismans had been stuck at tier 2 superior grade for almost 100 years. Needless to say, his foundation was solid. In just a few days, he had raised the success rate of refining an inferior grade tier 3 talisman to 35%. Ninth great uncle's dying wish was finally fulfilled. Wang Daoyuan brought all the clansmen of the spirit talisman hall to the ancestral grave at the back of the mountain to pay respects to ninth great uncle. He even burned a few thick earth divine armor talismans and sharp metal divine sword talismans to tell ninth great uncle that his dying wish had been fulfilled. He refined dozens of spirit talismans and placed them in the clan's treasury. Then, he left Jade Spring Peak and went to Fallen Dragon Ridge to cultivate the White Tiger sword art. Although the White Tiger blade was already extremely powerful, its power was far from being unleashed. After successfully cultivating the White Tiger sword art and comprehending the White Tiger sword intent, he would then use the sword intent to nurture the White Tiger blade. At that time, he would be able to fully unleash the power of the White Tiger blade. After comprehending for a few days in the Jade Pine Mountain Cave, he began to control the White Tiger blade. Previously, he could be considered half a sword cultivator, so it was not a problem for him to learn the basics of the White Tiger sword art. Soon, he would be able to use the White Tiger sword art and control the White Tiger blade to fly. Controlling the flying sword to attack was like cutting tofu. With a slash of the sword, the rock was split into two. The cut surface was extremely smooth and did not even drop a single piece of rock. Comprehending the sword intent was not that simple. It depended on one's comprehension and luck. If one's comprehension was good, the chances of comprehending the sword intent would be higher. However, whether or not one could comprehend it would depend on luck. The White Tiger sword art focused on the sword intent and was light on sword cultivation techniques. There were only some basic attack methods, and none of the sword cultivation techniques passed down by the Beiyuan sword sect. Of course, the divine White Tiger was good at attacking. After comprehending the White Tiger sword intent, the power of any sword cultivation technique would be greatly increased. He had also swindled the Beiyuan sword manual from the Blood Shadow headquarters, which recorded the core inheritance of the Beiyuan sword sect. Since he could not cultivate the White Tiger sword intent in a short period of time, he could first cultivate the sword cultivation techniques of the Beiyuan sword sect. The Beiyuan sword intent recorded in the Beiyuan sword manual focused on the return of essence, energy, and spirit. The so-called essence was the qi and blood of the human body. Qi was spiritual energy, spirit was divine sense. Beiyuan was to return essence, energy, and spirit to one. And this one was the sword. Essence, energy, and spirit represented everything of a human cultivator. Fusing essence, energy, and spirit into the sword was truly achieving the unity of man and sword. Then, the sword intent would naturally be extremely powerful. However, the Beiyuan sword manual only recorded the ultimate goal of the Beiyuan sword intent. It did not record how to achieve this ultimate goal. This was an empty slogan without any practical meaning. No wonder the Black Martin said that the Beiyuan sword manual was a trash Purple Palace realm inheritance. It was indeed correct. There was only one big and empty ultimate goal. If a cultivator who cultivated the Beiyuan sword manual wanted to comprehend the sword intent, he could only use it casually. It was likely that the two Zifu realm cultivators of the Beiyuan sword sect were half-baked sword cultivators. This Beiyuan sword manual was more like an incomplete sword cultivation technique. The Beiyuan wanderer was not a person with great talent or knowledge. Although the Beiyuan sword intent was big and empty, it was not something that any sword cultivator could comprehend easily. It was likely that the Beiyuan wanderer had obtained an incomplete inheritance from some senior expert. Since he did not have the ability to perfect it, he made some changes. He retained a big goal, but did not comprehend how to walk down the path. Compared to the playful sword intent, the sword cultivation techniques recorded in the Beiyuan sword manual were not bad. It was likely that he realized that it was difficult to comprehend the sword intent, so he wanted to use sword cultivation techniques to make up for his lack of strength. Other than the myriad sword manual, heaven cleaving sword, and black tortoise sword shield that Wang Daoyuan had already cultivated, there were also some other techniques. There were also a few spells, one of which was an extremely advanced sword cultivator spell called Sword Aura Transformation Spell. Looking at the contents of the beast skin technique, this technique condensed the sword aura that was cultivated into a specific shape to increase its power. All sword cultivator dharma spells were formed from sword chi. The sword aura transformation technique was the core of sword cultivation techniques. With this as the foundation, one could create all kinds of sword cultivation techniques. Now, Wang Daoyuan was certain that his judgment was correct. The Beiyuan wanderer had definitely obtained the inheritance of a senior expert. This sword aura transformation technique was definitely not something that a Zifu realm cultivator could create. Chapter 384. The creator of the incomplete inheritance that Beiyuan wanderer obtained should have been a senior expert in the sword cultivation path. If this sword aura transformation technique was really as recorded in the Beast Skin book, it could be called the ultimate treasure of sword cultivation. The Beiyuan sword sect was able to take such an advanced technique for themselves. Blood Shadow obtained this technique, but did not take it seriously. This meant that there was something wrong with it. Otherwise, this technique alone could cause a fight among the top forces. Wang Daoyuan used 2 days to master the sword aura transformation technique. He tried to use the sword aura transformation technique to condense the image of a white tiger. The condensation was very successful. In a dozen breaths, a white tiger image that was more than 10 feet long was formed. He controlled the white tiger image and attacked a rock that was more than 10 feet tall. The white tiger image pounced on the rock and disappeared. Not even a bit of rock was destroyed. The moss on the rock was still alive. Wang Daoyuan thought that he was too unfamiliar with the sword aura transformation technique. He cultivated for another 2 to 3 months and tried to condense something else. The result was not much different. After the sword aura transformation technique, it still dissipated upon contact. It was not lethal at all. Although he was a little disappointed, he knew that this situation was to be expected. If the sword aura transformation technique was valuable, the Beiyuan sword manual would not have become an inheritance that no major forces wanted. Wang Daoyuan was not a one-track-minded sword cultivator. The technique that he cultivated depended on its practicality. The potential of a technique was not important. The power that could be unleashed was what was important. Since there was a problem with the sword aura transformation technique, he gave up on cultivating it. Apart from the sword aura transformation technique, the Beiyuan sword manual also had 2 other techniques, the demon-resisting sword bell and the endless sword sea. The demon-resisting sword bell was a defensive technique. It used sword aura to condense the image of a long sword. Finally, these long sword images formed the shape of a bell. Wang Daoyuan had seen this technique before. The first time he came to Guiyuan City, a cultivator from the Beiyuan sword sect forced him to join the sect. After Wang Daoyuan refused, a fight broke out between them. At that time, That person used the demon-resisting sword bell as a defensive technique. Unfortunately, that fellow's execution speed was too slow. He could only condense the shadow of the longsword, and could not form the shape of the bell. Boundless Sword C was an offensive spell that relied on quantity to win. It used sword chi to condense a wave to suppress the opponent. These two spells were not circulated in the outside world. Only the direct disciples of the Beiyuan sword sect knew how to use them. These two sword cultivation techniques were not weak, so there was no harm in cultivating them. Who knows, in the future, he might need to do something that required the Beiyuan sword sect to take the blame. After that, Wang Daoyuan cultivated in Fallen Dragon Ridge, comprehending the sword will and the charm of the divine beast White Tiger. Observing the fights between tiger-type demonic beasts would be of great help. It was time for Yun Yi to make a contribution. Coincidentally, Yun Yi was also a white tiger. Other than the two clouds on her shoulders, she was not much different from the legendary white tiger. He called Yun Yi over, and saw that she was about 9 zhang tall, and had a waist circumference of 4 to 5 zhang. After landing, he could only lie on the ground and stand with his 4 legs straight. His belly could even be dragged on the ground. Those who did not know would not be able to imagine that this guy was actually a tiger-type spirit beast. He patted her belly and said, "Yun Yi, from now on, you don't have to eat barbecued meat. You can eat barbecued meat only when you lose all that fat on your body." Yun Yi was very dissatisfied and made a whining sound to express her protest. Wang Daoyuan ignored her at all. He often went out to travel. When he was in the family, he was busy with various matters and did not have time to supervise her. Now that he wanted to use her, he naturally had to train her well. Yun Yi's tiger roar seemed to be one of her innate spells. Demonic beasts and human cultivators of similar cultivation levels had no resistance to the tiger roar. Only Wang Daoyuan and the thunder ape could not be affected by the tiger roar. Wang Daoyuan was Yun Yi's master, so he was naturally not afraid of her. And the thunder ape seemed to have a high-level demonic beast bloodline, so it was not afraid of Yun Yi's intimidation. It was best to let the thunder ape train Yun Yi. Although the two of them had similar cultivation levels, Yun Yi was lazy, while the thunder ape was a battle maniac. Once they fought, Yun Yi would definitely be trampled. Wang Daoyuan instructed the thunder ape to be merciful. The thunder ape's intelligence was not inferior to that of an ordinary person, so it naturally knew that it could not be ruthless. After the fight began, the thunder ape relied on its agile body and pushed Yun Yi to the ground. It pressed its hands that were filled with thunder spiritual energy on Yun Yi's belly, causing Yun Yi to wail and beg Wang Daoyuan for help pitifully. The thunder ape also had a sense of propriety. Although Yun Yi cried out miserably, she was not hurt at all. Wang Daoyuan naturally continued to watch the show. Yun Yi saw that there was no hope, so she began to resist with all her might. However, this fellow had only been domineering in the space of the spiritual pearl for a period of time when she was young. Later on, her body was too big, so after she was taken out of the space, she did not fight anymore. To resist the battle-hardened thunder ape, her little bit of strength was obviously not enough. The ape and the tiger fought for 4 hours, but Yun Yi was still completely suppressed. Wang Daoyuan was about to shout for them to stop and let them rest when a tiger roar came from the east. This tiger roar was extremely intimidating. It was definitely not something that a tiger-type demon beast could produce. Although the thunder ape and Yun Yi had extraordinary bloodlines, they were only tiger-type demons after all. Hearing this roar, they were still a little scared. The Wang family's development of the heavenly/mountain range was squeezing the living space of the demon beasts. It was only a matter of time before they encountered a tiger-type demon beast. Tiger-type demon beasts did not have enough intelligence and only cared about their own territory. Tiger-type demon beasts' intelligence was comparable to that of ordinary people. They had the awareness of racial justice, so it was not uncommon for them to meddle in other people's business. This was also the reason why most forces did not dare to develop the heavenly/mountain range easily. No matter how much resources they invested, if they attracted a tiger-type demon beast, their previous investment would all be for naught. Wang Daoyuan ordered the two of them to return to the Jade Spine Mountain, while he went to meet the tiger-type demon beast. He couldn't wait for it to come over. Otherwise, if they fought, the Jade Spine Mountain and Golden Tiger Mountain's properties and clansmen would be affected. The tiger-type formations on the two mountains were not enough to block the aftermath of a battle between Violet Palace realm cultivators. Riding the Prairie Fire Sword, Lin Yun flew towards the east. After flying for over 30 miles, he saw a ferocious white tiger coming from the east. The stripes on the white tiger's body were all golden. This seemed to be a golden-striped tiger. Previously, he killed 2 tiger-type demons from the Golden Tiger Mountain. Could it be that they were from the same clan? This golden-striped tiger was a tiger-type demon beast. Judging from its spiritual energy fluctuation, it should not be far from tiger-type demon beasts. Golden-striped tigers had great potential. Tiger-type demons had appeared before, so this tiger-type demon beast wasn't rare. Golden-striped tigers weren't weak. Back when he killed the 2 tiger-type demons, each of them could block dozens of feathers from the golden rock, seizing dragon technique. That rank 3 lower-grade golden pattern tiger's battle prowess could not be underestimated. When the golden-striped tiger saw Wang Daoyuan, it let out a few roars. Thereafter, it raised its front paw and waved it at Lin Yun. 5 golden sword rays appeared out of thin air and slashed towards Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan dodged the attack with his sword and summoned the white tiger blade. He wielded the white tiger blade and swung it at the golden-striped tiger. When the sword ray slashed over, the golden-striped tiger waved its paw and shattered the sword ray. After probing it, the golden-striped tiger wasn't weak. It wouldn't be easy to deal with it. They were only 100 miles away from the Jade Spine Mountain and Golden Tiger Mountain, so he didn't dare to retreat. Otherwise, his properties and clansmen would suffer losses. If he stayed here for too long and attracted other tiger-type demon beasts, it would be even more troublesome. He flew towards the south on his sword, wanting to lure the golden-striped tiger elsewhere. When the golden-striped tiger saw him fleeing towards the south, it didn't give up and followed closely behind. Wang Daoyuan wasn't worried. Instead, he was happy. It was easy to lure it away, luring it to another place to fight, so that it wouldn't destroy his territory. Chapter 385. In the north of the mountain, the demons and half-demons were hostile. Even the rank 4 demonic beasts were in a tense standoff. If he lured them over, it would be easy to cause trouble, so he could only lure them to the south. Wang Daoyuan flew towards the southeast while the golden-striped tiger chased after him. A rank 3 demonic beast's running speed was even faster than a Foundation Establishment cultivator's flying sword. It could cover over 2,000 miles in 2 hours. Wang Daoyuan controlled the speed of his flying sword, so that the golden-striped tiger wouldn't give up the chase if he was too far away. After running southwest for 6 hours, he arrived at the east of the 100 Rivers Lake. It wasn't a bad choice to make a move here. Even if he alarmed some demonic beasts, they would run east. The 100 Rivers Lake was to the west, so there wouldn't be a small beast tide. However, there were many wandering cultivators in the 100 Rivers Lake, and there were many spies from the various factions. Once he made a move, it would be difficult to hide the fact that he had established a Violet Palace. This damn tiger had ruined everything. Compared to the safety of his clan, exposing his Violet Palace realm cultivation was nothing. Wang Daoyuan stopped at the east of the 100 Rivers Lake. He hadn't been here for 80 to 90 years. Back then, he was only a late-stage Qi refinement cultivator. Now he was already a Violet Palace realm cultivator. Revisiting this place made him feel that the affairs of the world were impermanent. The golden-striped tiger quickly caught up and pounced at Wang Daoyuan. Although rank 3 demonic beasts couldn't fly, it wasn't difficult for a demonic beast like the golden-striped tiger, which was known for its agility. However, its agility was naturally limited when it was in the air. Wang Daoyuan easily dodged its attack and brandished the white tiger blade, slashing at the golden-striped tiger's waist. As expected of a big cat, the golden-striped tiger twisted its body in the air and dodged the sword beam. The sword beam's lethality was only SOSO, so it wasn't worth using his spiritual sense to control it. After dodging the sword beam, The golden-striped tiger brandished its claws and sent out a few waves of energy. Wang Daoyuan swung his sword and shattered the energy waves. It seemed that a small fight wouldn't be able to suppress the golden-striped tiger. Even the myriad sword art's phantom sword couldn't withstand a single swipe of the golden-striped tiger's claws. He unleashed the heaven-cleaving sword and formed a giant sword shadow that was hundreds of feet long. He swung the sword at the golden-striped tiger. Seeing that he was serious, the golden-striped tiger did not dodge. It opened its huge mouth and let out a furious roar. The demonic beasts in the vicinity fled one after another. The Tier 1 demonic beast was directly knocked unconscious. There were still some rogue cultivators at the 100 Rivers Lake who had been watching the show, but now they all fled into the lake. This tiger roar clearly had the effect of intimidating one's soul. Wang Daoyuan's soul was powerful, and he also had the 5 elements divine beasts protecting his Zifu. To him, this tiger roar was just a little ear-piercing. However, the might of the golden-striped tiger still made him a little apprehensive. Previously, when he wanted to comprehend the white tiger's sword intent and the divine beast white tiger's charm, the white tiger phantom in his purple mansion phenomenon was a little lacking. Yin-Yi had been raised into a fat cat. She no longer had any dignity. Now that he was exchanging blows with the golden-striped tiger, he felt a trace of emotion. The golden-striped tiger hadn't finished casting its innate spell, and its roar hadn't even faded away when the shadow of a tiger's head flew out. This shadow of a tiger's head was exactly the same as the golden-striped tiger's head. The shadow of a tiger's head bit the heaven-cleaving sword. Wang Daoyuan waved the sword with all his might and slashed downwards. The giant sword only slashed down a few feet before it couldn't go any further. At this moment, the giant sword was still more than 10 feet away from the golden-striped tiger, but it was forcibly blocked by the shadow of a tiger's head. Wang Daoyuan was also sweating. Fortunately, he didn't provoke a Tier 3 demonic beast before refining the white tiger blade. After breaking through to the Tier 3 demonic beast, its weakness was that its intelligence was low, and its methods were simple. Especially tiger-type demonic beasts. They were considered relatively strong among demonic beasts of the same level. Ordinary early-stage Zifu realm cultivators really weren't a match for the golden-striped tiger. Just like Wang Daoyuan's heaven-cleaving sword, ordinary opponents of the same level couldn't withstand it at all. This golden-striped tiger only released a shadow of a tiger's head, and it was evenly matched. The golden-striped tiger closed its mouth, and the shadow of a tiger's head did the same. The heaven-cleaving sword was crushed by the shadow of a tiger's head, and the shadow of a tiger's head also disappeared. Ordinary methods couldn't take down the golden-striped tiger, so he had to take out some special skills. He poured a large amount of spiritual power and spiritual sense into the white tiger blade, condensing the white tiger blade's Dharma idol. A 30-meter-long shadow of a divine white tiger flew out from the longsword and pounced on the golden-striped tiger below. The white tiger blade's Dharma idol was exactly the same as a real divine white tiger in terms of appearance and movement. However, it didn't have the imposing manner of a divine white tiger. Even if it had the might of a tiger, it was still slightly inferior to the golden-striped tiger in front of him. If it had the charm of the Scarlet Luan's shadow that Zhou Luan used, then the golden-striped tiger would probably have to lie down as soon as the Dharma idol appeared. The white tiger Dharma idol and the golden-striped tiger fought together. Wang Daoyuan used the Dharma idol to feel the golden-striped tiger's aura and comprehend the white tiger's sword intent from it. Forget about the charm of a divine white tiger. Although the golden-striped tiger was also a tiger, there were no rumors that it had the bloodline of a divine white tiger. Neither did any golden-striped tiger reveal the ability of a divine white tiger. The Dharma idol was supported by spiritual sense and spiritual power, and the golden-striped tiger didn't have the strength to directly break the Dharma idol. Wang Daoyuan wanted to use the golden-striped tiger to comprehend the white tiger's sword intent, so he didn't intend to end the battle quickly, and the situation was in a stalemate. Every time the two white tigers swung their claws, every time they bit, they carried with them a force that was as strong as a sword. When the sword aura hit the opponent, it would cause wounds. If the opponent dodged, the surrounding rocks and vegetation would be unlucky. Waves of whistling sounds resounded through the sky. The monsters within 100 miles had either fled long ago, or were paralyzed on the ground in fear. The stalemate lasted for about 2 hours, and the two white tigers were still evenly matched. At this time, dozens of miles to the east, there was an ape's cry and a wolf's howl. Judging from the aura of this sound, it wasn't something that a rank 2 monster could have. It was just that it was too far away, so it was difficult to determine the specific grade. But even if they were all rank 3 low-grade monsters, when they came over, it would be very difficult for him to face 3 rank 3 monsters. If he attracted another rank 3 monster, it would be difficult for him to escape. This golden-striped tiger couldn't be left alive. Its territory shouldn't be far from Fallen Dragon Ridge. If he let it go, it would come back to Fallen Dragon Ridge to cause trouble. In order to get rid of the golden-striped tiger as soon as possible, he took out the soul-extinguishing bell. The soul-extinguishing bell was a rank 2 high-grade magic tool that mainly attacked the soul. It wasn't very useful against Violet Palace realm cultivators. But rank 3 monsters weren't like humans, whose soul had transformed into a divine soul, and the protection of the Violet Palace. The soul of a rank 3 monster was much stronger than that of a rank 2 monster, but it didn't undergo a qualitative change like a human's Violet Palace. In terms of soul strength, most rank 3 monsters weren't as strong as a peak foundation establishment cultivator, so the soul-extinguishing bell still had some lethality against them. Wang Daoyuan controlled the soul-extinguishing bell and flew to a height of 15 meters above the two tigers. When he activated the soul-extinguishing bell, a bell rang, and the nearby rank 1 monster that was paralyzed on the ground was instantly killed. The golden-striped tiger was also greatly affected, but it had a strong body to protect it. The attack on its soul was greatly weakened, so it wasn't seriously injured. The white tiger Dharma idol wasn't a living thing, so it wasn't affected at all. Wang Daoyuan activated the soul-extinguishing bell more than 10 times before the golden-striped tiger completely lost its ability to resist and lay motionless on the ground. He shot a sword chi into the golden-striped tiger's body through its mouth, crushing its internal organs. The golden-striped tiger was soon completely dead. Wang Daoyuan took out the ghost Dao magic tool, the soul-capturing bottle, and stored its soul. Even a few strands of hair from a rank 3 monster were worth a lot of spirit stones. It wouldn't be strange if a rank 3 golden-striped tiger's soul was sold for hundreds of thousands of spirit stones. After storing the soul, he put the golden-striped tiger's body into the spirit beast pouch. He crossed the 100 Rivers Lake on his sword and flew west. Chapter 386. 100 Rivers Lake, Green Willow Province, an underground stone room. An 8th level foundation establishment cultivator cupped his hands towards a mid-Violet Palace realm cultivator and said, "Father, Wang Daoyuan of the Wang clan just killed a low-grade 3rd-grade golden-striped tiger on the eastern shore of the 100 Rivers Lake. He seemed to be using the golden-striped tiger to cultivate his magic arts. Instead of wasting 2 hours, he had the opportunity to kill it in 1 strike. When other 3rd-grade demon beasts approached, he only used a dozen breaths of time to deal with the golden-striped tiger." The mid-Violet Palace realm cultivator nodded and said, "The Wang clan is also full of talents. I didn't expect that in a short 100 years, they would grow from a precarious foundation establishment clan to a Violet Palace realm clan. 100 years ago, Wang Daoyuan's strength was only on par with yours. Now his battle prowess might not be below mine. Unfortunately, I don't know what the Wang clan's attitude towards us is." After crossing the 100 Rivers Lake, Wang Daoyuan turned north and returned to the Jade Pine Mountain Immortals cave. He had gained some insights from the battle with the golden-striped tiger. He needed to enter seclusion to comprehend the white tiger sword intent and see if he could comprehend it in one go. Before entering seclusion, he poured some pure yin qi into the soul-capturing bottle to protect the golden-striped tiger's soul. It was heavily injured by the soul-extinguishing bell, so the injury to its soul was definitely not light. If it was locked in the soul-capturing bottle for a long time, it might dissipate. After dealing with the soul, he sent a message to his third brother and began his seclusion. 7 days after he entered seclusion to comprehend the White Tiger sword intent, Yang Yong arrived at the Jade Spring Mountain. The 12th uncle, Wang Shui, was still in seclusion because he felt the might of the White Tiger blade. His 5th uncle personally came out to receive Yang Yong. His 5th uncle invited Yang Yong into the hall, and the two took their seats. His 5th uncle cupped his hands and said, "May I know why Senior has come?" Yang Yong replied, "I'm here for Beiyuan. He hasn't reported to the sect after establishing his Violet Palace. A few days ago, Beiyuan killed the golden-striped tiger at the 100 Rivers Lake. The secret agent hiding at the 100 Rivers Lake recognized Beiyuan and reported this matter to the sect's Shadow Guard Hall. The Dark Guard Hall Master asked me about this matter, which is why I came to Jade Spring Peak to ask about the situation." 5th great uncle said with a smile, "We've only just found out about Beiyuan establishing his Violet Palace. Ever since he left the mountain, he spent most of his time traveling outside. He had only succeeded in establishing the Violet Palace realm because he had a sudden epiphany during his travels. When he came back, Shui and I were both in seclusion, so he didn't tell us. He had been in seclusion at Jade Spring Peak for a few years to nurture his natal Dharma artifact. Not long ago, he successfully nurtured his magic tool. Only then did we know that he had opened up his Violet Palace. However, I've been in seclusion all these years to create my own natal magic weapon, so I didn't have time to report it to the sect. Recently, Fallen Dragon Ridge was often harassed by demonic beasts, so Beiyuan went to take charge. That Type 3 golden-striped tiger had invaded Fallen Dragon Ridge, and he was afraid that it would implicate his family's businesses and clansmen, so he decided to lure it to the 100 Rivers Lake and kill it. When Beiyuan killed the golden-striped tiger previously, he had some comprehension of sword intent. After killing the golden-striped tiger, he went into seclusion to comprehend. I don't know when he will come out. Yang Yong nodded and said, "Since that's the case, I'll report it to the sect. You still have to make a trip to recommend Beiyuan as an elder. After Beiyuan comes out of seclusion, you can go to the sect and have the sect master confer the title of elder. Since I've asked around, I won't stay any longer. Goodbye." In the Jade Pine Mountain Cavern, Wang Beiyuan sat cross-legged and kept recalling the scene when the White Tiger Blade was fighting the golden-striped tiger. The White Tiger Blade was also summoned into his Violet Palace realm, and his spirit kept controlling the White Tiger Blade to fly in his Violet Palace realm. He gradually understood that the White Tiger represented unparalleled offensive power, and the baleful aura and killing intent were just offensive means. In addition to offensive power, there was also the majesty of a tiger's roar that made all beasts submit. The White Tiger sword intent naturally contained the intent of attack and majesty. A month later, in front of Wang Beiyuan's spirit, the power of his divine sense gradually condensed into a ball of gray mist. The mist gradually condensed into the shape of a sword. The gray mist sword was only half an inch long, and was very blurry. It had the general shape of a sword, and he couldn't see any details. His spirit controlled the gray mist sword and merged it into the White Tiger Blade, and summoned the White Tiger Blade out of his body. Wang Beiyuan's right hand pointed upward, and the White Tiger Blade flew in the direction of his finger. The White Tiger Blade stabbed into the rock at the top of the cavern, and the rock couldn't block it. After penetrating dozens of feet of rock, the White Tiger Blade flew out of the mountain. The clansmen within 15 kilometers felt as if they were being targeted by a ferocious and hungry tiger. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Among the mortals at the foot of the mountain, some children who were crying quickly stopped crying, not knowing what to do. On a huge rock at the top of the mountain, Yuni was basking in the sun with her big belly. Suddenly, she was frightened by the aura and rolled off the rock. A pair of cloud wings that were more than 15 meters long extended from her shoulders. She flew high into the sky and stared at the White Tiger Blade in horror. Wang Beiyuan put the White Tiger Blade back into his dantian, and the aura of the White Tiger Blade also disappeared. The clansmen on the mountain also calmed down. Yuni understood that the murderous aura was emitted by her master's Dharma artifact. She landed on the rock and continued to bask in the sun. Wang Daoyuan heaved a sigh of relief. I've finally learned the basics of the White Tiger Sword intent. The gray mist sword condensed in his purple mansion was the embryonic form of the White Tiger Sword intent. After comprehending the sword intent, he could merge the gray mist sword into the White Tiger blade, and it would have an extremely good nurturing effect. After comprehending the sword intent, even if he didn't use the White Tiger blade, the power of his sword attack would increase by a lot. In the future, his understanding of the White Tiger Sword intent would gradually deepen, and the gray mist sword would become clearer and bigger. Only when it was exactly the same as the White Tiger blade would he be considered to have comprehended the sword intent to the peak. The White Tiger Sword intent that he comprehended was compatible with the White Tiger blade. The comprehension of the White Tiger Sword intent was also extremely beneficial to his comprehension of the White Tiger's charm. At this time, his control of the White Tiger blade was also much stronger. Although he still hadn't reached the level where he could communicate with his natal magic weapon and move the sword at will like Zhou Wan, he still didn't need to use his divine sense to control it. But when he controlled the White Tiger blade, the consumption of his divine sense was reduced by more than half, and he was also much closer to the level where he could move the sword at will. He used the Earth Mountain technique to patch up the hole that the White Tiger blade pierced through the roof of the cave. Then he left the cave and returned to the Jade Spring Peak on his sword. Fifth Great Uncle had sent him a message saying that the Netherworld sect already knew about his purple mansion. After that, he still had to ask Fifth Great Uncle to recommend him to become an elder of the Netherworld sect. After obtaining the sect master's approval, he still had to go to the Netherworld sect to confer the title of elder. He already had the position of the Tool Refining Hall's steward. After being conferred the title of elder, he might have to take up a position in the Tool Refining Hall, and he would have fewer opportunities to travel in the future. This matter couldn't be avoided. If he didn't obey the Netherworld sect's arrangements, it would be a rebellion. After returning to the Jade Spring Peak, he used his divine sense to scan the area and found that Fifth Great Uncle was staying in the 12th Uncle's cave. The 12th Uncle was holding 2 jade slips and reading them. Sensing that Wang Daoyuan had returned, Fifth Great Uncle transmitted a message. Daoyuan, your 12th uncle has comprehended the Purple Mansion realm and can start to break through at any time. Since you're back, go control the Black Tortoise water-repelling formation to prevent anyone from destroying it. Your Aunt Jill's cultivation isn't enough, so it's difficult for her to unleash the Black Tortoise water-repelling formation's strength. Shuyi and I both cultivate the art of overturned sea, so it's more suitable for me to guard him. Wang Daoyuan replied, just let Aunt Jill control the formation. If anyone dares to come looking for trouble, I'll use his head to test my White Tiger blade. After saying that, he went straight into the cave and took out the Yin-Yang Purple Jade and the Mystic Ice Chalcedony. He handed them to the 12th Uncle and said, I obtained this Yin-Yang Purple Jade when I was traveling outside. I've already opened the Purple Mansion realm, so it's useless to keep it. Although you probably won't need it with your talent, it's safer to take it. There's also the Mystic Ice Chalcedony. With this, it'll be easier to pass the inner demon tribulation. Chapter 387. Wang Shui didn't refuse, and took the Yin-Yang Purple Jade and the Profound Ice Jade Essence. I won't be polite with you. I owe you too much, and you don't need me to pay you back. From now on, I'll sell my life to you and let you do whatever you want. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Why would I want your life? I just hope that more people in the family can cultivate to the Violet Palace realm, or even the Golden Core realm. I don't want to have no one by my side after a few hundred years. After saying that, he followed Fifth Great Uncle out of the cave. At this time, the entire Jade Spring Peak was shrouded in a blue light screen, and the Black Tortoise's projection had already appeared in the sky. Fifth Great Uncle stood guard at the entrance of the cave, while Wang Daoyuan sat cross-legged on the north bank of the Jade Dragon Spring. The White Tiger blade had already been summoned and placed horizontally on his knees. The White Tiger blade didn't have the slightest fluctuation of spiritual power, and looked like an ordinary iron sword. In front of him was a short table about a foot long. On the table was a teapot and 4 teacups. 2 hours later, a burst of spiritual sense fluctuation came from the 12th uncle's cave. Soon, a purple light began to appear in the sky above the cave. When the violet palace was opened, the purple light was particularly dazzling. Moreover, this purple light was extremely attractive to demon beasts. The Jade Spring Peak was about 2,000 miles away from the outer boundary of the Heavenly/Mountain Range. Although it was impossible for terrestrial demon beasts to see the purple light, it wasn't necessarily the case for demon beasts. An hour later, a second-rank high-grade eagle-type demon beast appeared in the eastern sky and flew towards the Jade Spring Peak. The demon beast was extremely fast, and was only 3 to 4 miles away from the Jade Spring Peak in a short time. Aunt Geo had already controlled the black tortoise's projection, and was ready to attack. Wang Daoyuan didn't even look at the demon beast, and raised the teacup to his mouth with his right hand. He gently brushed the white tiger blade with his left hand, and a dazzling silver sword ray flew out. In order to avoid disturbing the 12th uncle, the white tiger blade didn't emit any aura. The sword ray flashed, but the white tiger blade was still like an ordinary iron sword, simple and unadorned. The sword ray passed through the demon beast's body, and continued to fly forward, until it was more than 10 miles away from Wang Daoyuan, before it completely dissipated. After being pierced through by the sword beam, the demonic bird continued to fly towards the Jade Spring Peak, for over 100 meters. Then its body split into 2 halves and fell down. At this moment, the teacup in his right hand had just reached his mouth. Releasing the power of his divine sense, he controlled the water spiritual power of the defensive light shield, and wrote in the air, "Trespassers shall die." Around the Jade Spring Peak, there were quite a few loose cultivators who were watching. After all, they didn't have any experience in establishing their violet palaces, so they could only grab this rare opportunity to watch other cultivators establish their violet palaces. This was also an important way for them to understand the Violet Palace realm. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan had killed a rank 2 upper-rank demonic beast in the time it took to drink tea, the rogue cultivators were all frightened. He consciously retreated 10 miles away from Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan's sword light had a killing range of 5 kilometers. If they continued to stay within that range, they would not feel safe. A rogue cultivator said, "Rumor has it that Wang Daoyuan of the Wang family has opened his Violet Palace, and is extremely powerful. A few days ago, at the eastern shore of the 100 River Lake, he fought with a rank 3 lower-grade golden pattern tiger, and killed it. I thought it was just a rumor, but today I learned that the rumor was true." Another 9th layer foundation establishment cultivator said, "Rumor has it that he used the golden pattern tiger to cultivate. He only used the projection of a divine white tiger to fight with it for 2 hours. Later, when other rank 3 demonic beasts approached, he killed the golden pattern tiger in 10 breaths of time. His strength far surpasses that of ordinary rank 3 lower-grade demonic beasts. I'm afraid he isn't inferior to an ordinary mid-Violet Palace realm cultivator." Everyone deeply agreed, and once again retreated a certain distance. Not long after, the 2 of them came from the south, one in front and one behind on their swords. Seeing that the rogue cultivators outside the Jade Spring Peak didn't dare to approach, the 2 of them also didn't continue forward. Riding his sword behind the rogue cultivators, he said with a smile, "I'm Yang Yong, the guardian of the Clear Glaze Market. I heard that someone from the Wang family has opened his Violet Palace, and came to protect you." Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for coming to protect me, Ancestor Yang. Please come in for a chat." Yang Yong naturally knew that he was just being polite. He waved his hand and said, "There's no need to be so polite. The Wang family has 2 Violet Palace realm guardians. It won't be too late for me to enter after little friend Shui successfully opens his Violet Palace." A middle-aged cultivator followed behind Yang Yong. It was Yang Yulen. At this moment, Yang Yulen's cultivation was already at the 9th layer of foundation establishment. Even Yang Yong was polite, so the other rogue cultivators didn't dare to be impudent, and retreated a distance. For hours later, the purple light condensed into a purple sphere the size of a dragon's eye. The sphere absorbed the purple light and continuously grew bigger. When it reached a diameter of 7.5 inches, it stopped growing. The 12th uncle's talent was extremely good. Logically speaking, he should have been able to open his violet palace when he was 100 years old. Wang Daoyuan thought that something went wrong with his cultivation, but now it seemed that it was due to his accumulation. When many heavenly spiritual roots opened their violet palace's embryonic form was only a little more than 7 inches. The size of the violet palace's embryonic form had a huge impact on the cultivation of the violet palace realm. At this moment, a pure black water spiritual energy appeared out of nowhere and turned into a black dragon. The black dragon coiled around the violet palace and let out a dragon's roar. In the jade dragon spring, the clear river carps jumped out of the water and bowed to the dragon. Wang Daoyuan noticed that a second-grade clear river carp was less than 2 feet long. He recalled what his grandfather told him before his death. The dragonfish's predecessor was a second-grade clear river carp that was only a foot long. This clear river carp was also extraordinary and might be a variant. He scanned the outside with his spiritual sense and felt relieved when he saw that everyone's attention was on the violet palace's phenomenon. He no longer paid attention to the clear river carp, since he wasn't afraid of it running away in his own territory. Outside the array, Yang Yong said, "Legend has it that Taoist Master Yuchuan's violet palace's phenomenon is a black water dragon. For little friend Shui to have such a phenomenon, his future is limitless." It's said that Taoist Master Yuchuan's embryonic form was only 6 inches long, far inferior to the 7.5-inch violet palace. It seems that little friend Shui's foundation is even more solid than Taoist Master Yuchuan's. The black dragon gradually shrunk and turned into dragon patterns that were engraved on the violet palace's embryonic form. Soon after, a human-shaped gray mist ball walked out of the cave. It gradually shrunk to 7.5 inches tall and walked towards the violet palace. It arrived in front of the violet palace and sat down cross-legged. The 12th uncle had been unrestrained his entire life and wasn't interested in fame and fortune. It was difficult for such a person to have an inner demon. The inner demon tribulation shouldn't be a problem for him, not to mention that he had the profound ice jade essence. As expected, the gray mist figure stood up and walked towards the violet palace in less than 10 breaths of time after sitting down. A door opened in the violet palace, and the gray mist figure entered. Such a short and powerless inner demon tribulation was truly rare. After the gray mist figure entered the violet palace, the violet light disappeared, and the violet palace slowly descended. A white-haired Peak Foundation establishment cultivator in the crowd sighed. 100 years ago, the Wang clan was still a foundation establishment clan with only one foundation establishment cultivator. There was a strong enemy, the Liang clan, suppressing them from the outside. The clan also couldn't make ends meet and had to rely on selling properties to survive. Everyone felt that the Wang clan wouldn't last for long. Now the Wang clan has 3 violet palaces and a large number of properties in the Sky Beheading Mountain range. On the contrary, the once prosperous Liang clan was reduced to a foundation establishment clan. The high banks are valleys and the deep valleys are mausoleums. The affairs of the world are truly unpredictable. 6 hours later, a powerful wave of divine sense swept out. This wave of divine sense already surpassed the majority of early Zifu realm cultivators. This was a sign that the soul had been nurtured into a divine soul. Soon after, a water-blue whirlpool of spiritual qi with a diameter of 300 feet appeared in the sky above the 12th uncle's cave. For hours later, the whirlpool disappeared. The 12th uncle walked out of the cave and cupped his hands towards Yang Yong in the sky. "Elder Yang, thank you for coming to protect me. Please come in for a chat." After watching the show, the rogue cultivators didn't stay any longer and dispersed. Aunt Jill also closed the black tortoise water warding formation. Yang Yong brought Yang Yulin to the Jade Dragon Spring. Chapter 388. Wang Daoyuan put away the tea table and tea set, then followed 5th granduncle and 12th uncle to welcome Yang Yong and Yang Yulin into the auditorium. The 5 of them took their seats. Fifth great-uncle cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, Elder Yang, for coming to protect us." A Ming generation junior brought several cups of tea over. Yang Yong received the teacup and said with a smile, "I'm afraid that even I, a middle-stage Zifu realm cultivator, am no match for Beiyuan's strength." Given that he also had the black tortoise water drive formation, even if a late-stage Zifu disciple came to cause trouble, he wouldn't be able to affect Shui in establishing his Zifu. This old man merely brought Yulin along to watch the show. After saying that, he picked up the teacup and took a sip. He sighed and said, "In just 100 years, the Wang clan has already become so prosperous. I'm already over 460 years old, and I'm nearing the end of my life." Among the younger generation, only Yulin and Yuhu had the potential to establish the Violet Palace. Jade Tiger's temperament was as fiery as fire. He was not the type to take on heavy responsibilities. Right now, Yulin is only at the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. I wonder if I'll be able to see him establish his Violet Palace. After I pass away, I hope that the Wang family will take good care of the Yang family on account of the 400 years of friendship between the two families. The 12th uncle smiled and said, "Senior Yang, what are you talking about? If it weren't for Senior Yang's mediation back then, I'm afraid my Wang clan would have already perished. For the past few hundred years, my Wang family has been bullied by outsiders, but it's all thanks to the Yang family's protection. If it wasn't for the Yang family, the Wang family wouldn't be where it was today. I'm still the patriarch, so I can give Senior Yang a guarantee. The Yang family didn't let down the Wang family, and the Wang family didn't let down the Yang family." Hearing this, Yang Yang's face was full of smiles. His purpose in coming was to get this guarantee. Wang Daoyuan also comforted him. "Old ancestor Yang, cousin Yulin's talent is outstanding. He should be able to establish his Violet Palace within the next 20 years. It shouldn't be a problem for the Yang clan to have 2 Zifu mansions." Hearing this, Yang Yong was overjoyed. He probed. Among the Yang family's Yu generation, there is still Yuqing who is quite talented. She is the niece of Daoyuan's mother's mortal family, and is also Daoyuan's cousin. Now she has also successfully built her foundation. This old man is not boasting. But even if Yuqing's appearance cannot be considered to be devastatingly beautiful, she is still 1 in a million. I wonder if Yuan is interested in marriage? Wang Daoyuan had indeed seen Yang Yuqing before. When his parents passed away, she and Yang Yulin came to pay their respects. She was indeed a heavenly beauty. Among all the women Wang Daoyuan had seen, her appearance was second only to Zhou Wan. However, Wang Daoyuan had no intention of marrying her. When he broke through to the Violet Palace realm, he had already confirmed that he had the acquired 5-elemental spiritual physique. After that, more than half of the connate 5 elements chi was sucked away by the spiritual pearl, and he became an acquired spiritual body. When he was young, his cultivation speed was fast. Later on, his comprehension ability was extremely strong. This was also because of his acquired spiritual body. Although the acquired spirit body did not have much effect on one's cultivation speed, it was still a special constitution. With the help of his innate 5-elemental qi, Ling Zhu had opened up a space within Ling Zhu. He had lost his 5-elemental spirit body, but gained an inexhaustible supply of resources. It was hard to say what he had gained or lost. The formation of the golden core was the process of the fusion of the essence, energy, and spirit. In other words, it was the fusion of the qi and blood in the physical body with the cultivated true yuan. If he kept his primordial yang physique, his qi and blood would be more abundant, and it would be more beneficial for the formation of the golden core. Not to mention that he had the acquired spiritual physique, the primordial yang physique. It would take him at least 100 years to reach the pinnacle of the Violet Palace realm. At that time, Yang Yuqing would not have much lifespan left, so what was the point of marrying her? However, it was suitable for his third brother to marry Yang Yuqing. After his 12th uncle established the Violet Palace realm, he would definitely focus on cultivation, so his third brother would naturally be the patriarch. Since the two clans were connected, the marriage between the Wang clan's new patriarch and the Yang clan was also a good choice. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands together. Ancestor Yang, I feel that I still have hopes of forming the golden core, so I won't get married for the time being. My third brother has outstanding talent, and he has been busy with the clan's affairs ever since he reached the Foundation Establishment realm. But he's still in the 8th stage of the Foundation Establishment realm, so there's a high chance that he will establish the Violet Palace realm. Second brother had already taken the knife for him. They were both his brothers, so he couldn't favor one and discriminate against the other. This time, he would let his third brother take the knife for him. Moreover, second brother already had 4 children. The 2 oldest were cultivators, the third didn't have a spirit root, and the youngest was just born. He was very satisfied with his married life, so Wang Daoyuan didn't cheat him. Now the Wang clan had many Foundation Establishment cultivators. In the future, there would be many younger brothers and nephews, who would also reach the Foundation Establishment realm. There was also big brother Wang Ming's great-grandson, Wang Mingshan, with the Foundation Establishment pill given to him by Wang Daoyuan. He also succeeded in establishing his foundation a few years ago. Big brother's memorial tablet also entered the ancestral shrine as he wished. He was Wang Daoyuan's great-grandnephew. Before his death, Wang Meng had entrusted Wang Daoyuan to take care of him. These matters weren't a secret. Now that he had successfully established his foundation, he was also a second-ranked mid-grade pill master, and was in charge of the clan's medicine hall. There were many Foundation Establishment clans, in the northern and central parts of Qingli County, who wanted to marry their daughters to him. The 12th uncle nodded and said, Dao Chong is a steady person. These years, he has also been cautious and conscientious in managing the clan's affairs. Now that I've established my purple mansion, I will focus on cultivation in the future. I won't be able to manage the clan's affairs anymore, so I plan to pass the position of clan head to him. 5th great-uncle smiled and said, Dao Chong is indeed a good child. His cultivation talent is also above mine. What do you think, Senior Yang? Yang Yong naturally had no objections. Yang Yuqing marrying Wang Daochang was more suitable than Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan had half the bloodline of the Yang clan. Regardless of whether or not he married into the Yang clan, he would definitely be close to the Yang clan. If Wang Daochang, the future clan head, became the son-in-law of the Yang clan, he would be more useful in maintaining the relationship between the 2 clans. Yang Yong nodded in satisfaction and said, Dao Chong is a talented person. I naturally have no objections. How about we let the 2 children meet? If they are both willing, we can discuss a date and settle this matter. Wang Daoyuan and the other 2 didn't have any objections, and quickly called Wang Daochang over. More than 2 hours later, the Yang clan's clan head, Yang Ziyuan, brought Yang Yuqing to the Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daochang went out to welcome them, and brought Yang Ziyuan and Yang Yuqing into the hall. After entering the hall and taking their seats, Wang Daochang and Yang Yuqing's faces were slightly red. Yang Yuqing was an outstanding beauty, and Wang Daochang's appearance wasn't bad either. In the Wang clan, he deserved to be called the number 1 in terms of appearance. Wang Daoxing had a boorish face, while Wang Daoyuan's appearance could only be considered above average, but he was rather valiant. He didn't look like a cultivator, but more like a mortal general. Especially after comprehending the white tiger sword intent, he became even more dignified. Ordinary people didn't even have the guts to look at him directly, and he wasn't very popular with women. Third brother was clearly a fire attribute cultivator, but his appearance was somewhat feminine, and his personality was very calm. He had a face that relied on women, but his talent was not bad. Wang Daoyuan and the other brothers had been especially envious of him since they were young. Seeing their expressions, 5th great-uncle smiled and said, It seems like these 2 juniors are interested. After Shui and Daoyuan are conferred as elders, their Violet Palace grand ceremony, Daochang will take over as the clan head, and Yuqing will marry into the clan. All these things will be done together. Let's have a good time. Yang Yong smiled and said, All right, then we'll set a date after Shui and Daoyuan are conferred as elders. With the Wang clan's guarantee, the marriage alliance was settled. After chatting for a while, the Yang clan's 4 people left happily. Wang Shui handed the mystic ice jade essence, an yin-yang purple jade to Wang Daoyuan and said proudly, "With your uncle's talent, why would I need these things to establish my violet palace?" A 7.5-inch violet palace, and a black dragon avatar, even stronger than the old ancestor. Wang Daoyuan took the items and said with a smile, "It's indeed powerful. I only have a 9-inch violet palace and a 5-element divine beast avatar." Wang Shui's face fell immediately. Just as he was about to retort, Wang Daoyuan continued, "When you came out of your violet palace avatar, a 1-foot-long second-grade clear river carp jumped out of the water and bowed to the black dragon avatar." Hearing this, the other 3 people were pleasantly surprised. They all knew about the dragonfish. 5th great-uncle and 12th uncle immediately probed the jade dragon spring with their divine senses. Chapter 389. Third brother Wang Daochang's spiritual sense was not enough, so he could not see the situation deep in the spring. 5th granduncle and 12th uncle could see clearly that the Qing River carp was only 1 foot and 5 inches long. Looking at the characteristics of the scales on this Qing River carp, it could be seen that it was not old, at most less than 30 years old. It was extremely difficult for human cultivators to grow to the 2nd level in 30 years. Moreover, most spirit beasts' cultivation speed was far slower than humans. This Qing River carp was definitely not simple. It was very likely to be a variant like the arowana. Being locked by 2 powerful spiritual senses, it was a little scared and desperately dived down. When it reached a depth of more than 150 feet, it could not go any further. With its cultivation of the 2nd level, it could only withstand this deep water pressure. If it continued to dive, it would be difficult to protect its life. 5th granduncle asked, "What should we do with this thing? It's not appropriate to just ignore it. After all, according to the rules set by Elder Zhou, 80% of the Qing River carps raised by our family belong to the Netherworld sect. Now that there's a variant, if the Netherworld sect comes to ask for it, it will be difficult for us." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Just catch it and let it recognize its master, then put it in the jade dragon spring to continue raising. Only the 4 of us know that the arowana is a Qing River carp. No one will care about it. If it can grow to the 2nd level, feed it the 3rd level jade dragon algae, then it will depend on its luck. If it can break through the 3rd level and show the characteristics of a dragon species, outsiders have no proof that it's the Qing River carp we raised. If it can't break through the 3rd level, then there's no need to care. Besides, we can occasionally see Qing River carps in the Qingli River these few years, so the Netherworld sect may not pay much attention to our Wang family's property. As long as we don't reveal it, it won't be a big problem." Since the Qing River carps in the space of the spiritual pearl began to breed, Wang Daoyuan often put some Qing River carps in the Qingli River and its tributaries. After so many years, he finally had some achievements. In the upper reaches of the Qingli River, he could occasionally see Qing River carps. 5th granduncle nodded and said, "Daoyuan's words are reasonable. Let's do that first. Which one of you will recognize this Qing River carp as its master?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "Let the 12th uncle do it. If this Qing River carp was really a mutated species, it might become an arowana in the future. A xenogeniac with dragon blood must have been proud and arrogant. It had jumped out of the water because of the 12th uncle's purple mansion anomaly. It would be easier for the 12th uncle to subdue it. If I were to subdue it, I would have to use force. Furthermore, I can't stay in Jade Spring Peak for too long, so I don't have much time to interact with it. In the future, when it becomes more intelligent, it might not listen to me. Besides, I'm strong enough in fights of magical powers, so I don't need it to increase my battle prowess. Just give me the carcass of the old ancestor's dragonfish when it matures." Upon hearing this, the 12th uncle was a little dissatisfied. He stood up and asked, "Do you mean that I'm not good at fighting?" Wang Daoyuan took out the white tiger blade and lightly flicked the blade with his finger. The entire blade let out a sword cry that sounded like a tiger's roar. He smiled and said, "What do you think?" Upon seeing the white tiger blade, the 12th uncle recalled the oppressive feeling that felt like a heavenly tribulation. He sat back down and said, "I don't have any objections." Wang Daoyuan executed the water dragon technique, and a 3-meter-long pitch-black water dragon was born in the Jade Dragon Spring. It swallowed the Qing River carp into its stomach and brought it into the auditorium. He put away the water dragon and handed the Qing River carp and a jade slip to the 12th uncle. He said, "I'll leave it to you." The jade slip recorded the secret method for aquatic spirit beasts to recognize their masters. After the 12th uncle read it, he began to execute the secret method on the Qing River carp. In the end, the Qing River carp kept struggling and refused to cooperate. Wang Daoyuan directly placed the white tiger blade on the Qing River carp's body and released a trace of aura. The Qing River carp immediately became obedient and allowed the 12th uncle to execute the secret method for the Qing River carp. Soon the secret method was executed. The 12th uncle used the water dragon technique to send the Qing River carp back to the Jade Dragon Spring. Wang Daoyuan said disdainfully, "Another person who bullies the weak and fears the strong." The 12th uncle didn't react for a moment. "Why do I feel like there's a hidden meaning in your words?" The 5th uncle said with a smile, "Let's do it like this. Only the 4 of us know about this Qing River carp. I should also go to the underworld sect's mountain gate and recommend the 2 of you to be elders. You should also prepare to go to the mountain gate to accept the conferment." After saying this, he left the Jade Spring Peak and flew west on his sword. One day later, the 5th uncle drove a flying boat back to the Jade Spring Peak. Wang Daoyuan and the 12th uncle boarded the flying boat. The 5th uncle instructed the 3rd brother, "Activate the mountain guarding formation. Don't close it before we come back." After saying this, he drove the flying boat to the west. This kind of lower grade 3 flying boat was the standard for elders with real power. Also, only elders like 5th great uncle, who had temporary tasks, could use it. The flying boat was extremely fast. It could fly 4,500 to 600 miles in 2 hours. After a few hours, they arrived at the underworld sect's mountain gate. The 5th uncle put away the flying boat. The 3 of them walked through the mountain gate together and walked along the long stone steps to the conference hall. After a quarter of an hour, they arrived at the conference hall. The 5th uncle walked into the hall first and handed over the order to the sect master. Then Luo Jiuyo ordered the 2 of them to enter the hall. After Wang Daoyuan and the 2 of them entered the hall, Luo Jiuyo said with a smile, "Shui's purple mansion has just opened. It's already 7.5 inches, and there's also the black dragon vision. In time, your achievements won't be below spiritual master Yuchuan's." Wang Shui bowed and said, "I'll do my best to live up to sect master's expectations." Luo Jiuyo nodded and asked Wang Daoyuan. Daoyuan opened his purple mansion when he was traveling outside. "With your talent, you should also have a purple mansion vision. May I know how big your purple mansion is, and what's your vision?" Wang Daoyuan bowed and said, "My purple mansion is 6 and 7 inches. My vision is the blood-eyed golden-winged tiger, the netherwater black turtle, the jade-scaled flood dragon, the golden-feathered fire sparrow, and the yellow-maned kirin. The 5 of them were high-grade demonic beasts, with a high concentration of the 5 elements bloodlines. Although the yellow-maned kirin had the name kirin, it looked similar to a kirin. However, it had yellow fur and no scales, so it couldn't be considered a real kirin. These demonic beasts were usually called pseudo-divine beasts or half-divine beasts. They had the potential to become divine beasts." Luo Jiuyo nodded and said, "It's already not easy for a Penta spiritual roots cultivator to have a purple mansion vision. Your 5 visions are half-divine beasts. Your potential isn't inferior to Shui's. Your future accomplishments might even be above Taoist Master Yuchuan's." Wang Shui, Wang Daoyuan, "Listen to me." The 2 of them bowed and said, "We are here." Luo Jiuyo said solemnly, "Today, Wang Shui and Wang Daoyuan of the Clearglass County's Yuchuan Wang clan have established their purple mansions. Elder Wang Jian has recommended the 2 of them to join the Netherworld sect. I will accept Elder Wang Jian's request and accept the 2 of them. I will confer Wang Shui and Wang Daoyuan as elders of the Netherworld sect. I hope the 2 of you will do your best to serve the sect." The 2 of them immediately bowed and said, We will do our best to serve the sect. Luo Juyo nodded in satisfaction and said, confer Wang Shui and Wang Daoyuan the sect's elder medallion, and a third-grade low-grade flying sword. Then 2 late-stage Violet Mansion realm elders each took a long sword and a medallion and handed it to the 2 of them. The 2 of them received the medallion and longsword and bowed again. Thank you, sect master. Luo Juyo waved his hand and said, there's no need to be so courteous. Shui has just established his purple mansion and shouldn't have refined his natal magic artifact yet. He will nurture his natal magic artifact first and won't take up a position in the sect for now. Daoyuan was previously the manager of the weapon refining hall and had been the manager of the weapon refining hall for 5 years. Before he established his purple mansion, he couldn't be appointed as an official manager according to the sect's rules. Now that he has established his purple mansion, it's time for him to take up a position in the refining hall. Although Wang Daoyuan was unwilling, he didn't dare to resist and could only bow and accept the matter. Just as he was about to speak, a lethargic cultivator stood up and said, Sect Master, this can't be done. Chapter 390. Everyone in the hall looked at this old man. His spirit energy seemed to be at the peak of the Zifu realm, but it fluctuated between strong and weak. Wang Daoyuan almost couldn't detect the presence of qi and blood on his body. His skin was dull and lifeless. His head full of white hair appeared dry and withered, unlike the silvery or jade-like luster of an older cultivator. All signs indicated that this person didn't have long to live. Although his cultivation was at the peak of the Zifu realm, forming a golden core required sufficient qi and blood. And this person's qi and blood were already exhausted. His spirit energy was unstable, and he probably didn't have much true essence left. Unless there was a legendary heavenly treasure that could rejuvenate one's youth. Otherwise, he definitely wouldn't be able to form a golden core. His position in the hall was closer to the front, only below the hall masters. Only Elder Jean could have enmity towards him, and didn't have much time left. Wang Daoyuan had seen him before, during the duel between the 2 sects over the Spirit Stone Mine. At that time, he had fought with 2 peak Zifu realm cultivators of the Cruel Sun Palace, defeating one and seriously injuring the other. He could be said to be in high spirits. Now that he had aged to such an extent, Wang Daoyuan actually couldn't recognize him. Luo Juyo asked, May I know why Elder Jean doesn't want Daoyuan to take up a post in the tool forging hall? Elder Jean replied, According to the rules of the sect, after the cultivators of the subordinate clans establish their Zifu realms, they will first take up a post as an elder without any duties, and then take up a post as a guardian of the various businesses. Those who have made contributions will be promoted to steward of the various halls. Even Elder Zhou Qi, a direct disciple of the sect, was sent out as a guardian of the clear glass market, and only then did he enter the guardian hall as a steward. Although Wang Daoyuan has made many contributions, the sect master has also rewarded him with many things. Since he has already been rewarded for his contributions, it's not appropriate to make an exception and promote him. I believe that it's better to let Wang Daoyuan take up the post of an elder without any duties. When there are vacancies, he will take up the post of a guardian. After making contributions, he will enter the tool forging hall as a steward. It's more in line with the rules. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was moved. Elder Jean was really a good person. He didn't want to enter the tool forging hall, and his words were of great help. He was happy, but he couldn't show it on his face. He looked at Elder Jean with a furious expression. As soon as Elder Jean said this, the elders from the foreign faction all agreed. Some of the native elders also expressed their agreement. Without the expansion of the Netherworld sect's territory, there were only so many positions for stewards and guardians in each palace. Today they would make an exception to promote one person, and tomorrow, they would make an exception to promote another person. Where would they put the rest of the elders who had worked for 100 or 200 years without any duties? The exceptional promotion had jeopardized the interests of many elders with no duties, and even the guardian envoys. Luo Juyo didn't know how to deal with the objections of many elders. This matter started because of Wang Daoyuan, so he naturally had to give Luo Jiuyo a way out. He bowed and said, "Sect Master, I've done some minor service previously, and you've already rewarded me heavily. Don't break the sect's rules because of me." Hall Master Gu also said, "In my opinion, why don't we keep Elder Wang Daoyuan's position as the supervisor of the Craftsmanship Hall, and temporarily not take up a post in the Craftsmanship Hall? If the Weapon Forging Hall lacks manpower in the future, it won't be too late to conscript him." Wang Daoyuan and Hall Master Gu gave Luo Jiuyo a way out, so he naturally had to take advantage of it. It wasn't worth it to intensify the internal conflict for such a small matter. He nodded and said, "Then we'll do as Hall Master Gu said. Wang Daoyuan will keep his position as the supervisor of the Craftsmanship Hall, but he doesn't need to take up a post in the Craftsmanship Hall. If there's a need in the future, he can be conscripted. Daoyuan, since you can't be an official supervisor, I have to give you some compensation. If you have any other requests, don't hesitate to mention them." This was equivalent to giving him an empty title. He had status and treatment but no real power. This was the most in line with his wishes. He could get benefits without having to work. Wang Daoyuan bowed and said, "Sect Master, I've killed a golden-striped tiger before, and I've kept the demon pill. I want to refine the Foundation Establishment pill by myself, and I sincerely ask for your permission." As far as Wang Daoyuan knew, the Netherworld sect didn't have a rule forbidding the affiliated families from refining the Foundation Establishment pill. However, the control of the Foundation Establishment pill was very strict. If they refined the Foundation Establishment pill once or twice without notifying, it would be fine. However, if they refined the pill too many times, they would be going against the Netherworld sect. The Wang family didn't dare to take the lead. As long as they got the permission to refine the Foundation Establishment pill this time, it would be reasonable for the Wang family to take out more Foundation Establishment pills in the future. Luo Jiuyo thought for a moment and asked, "Is there a precedent for this in the sect?" The Hall Master of the Guardian Hall stood up and replied, "Sect Master, there is no precedent for this." Zhao had experienced a series of battles before. The old family lost almost all of their cultivators at the Zifu realm and above, and no one had the ability to easily kill a third-ranked demonic beast. The Netherworld sect had true origin fruit trees, and they had also destroyed the major families of Zhao and seized some. There was no need to provoke third-ranked demonic beasts. Therefore, no family had openly hunted demonic beasts to refine the Foundation Establishment pill in these years. However, before the last beast died, Zhao was one of the top 3 countries in the world, and there were countless fierce people. There were many cultivators who dared to hunt third-ranked demonic beasts to refine the Foundation Establishment pill. The Wang family's ancestor was the most vicious when he killed demonic beasts to refine the pill. When the royal family of Zhao was still alive, they had always let them do whatever they wanted. Later, in order to prevent the old families from rebelling, the 3 major sects had always been strict about the Foundation Establishment pill. Although Wang Daoyuan's request was a small matter, it was related to the future policy of the Netherworld sect. If Wang Daoyuan was allowed to refine the Foundation Establishment pill, there would be others who would follow suit. The Netherworld sect's control over the Foundation Establishment pill would also be weakened. However, it was not a solution to keep forbidding it. The way to obtain the Foundation Establishment pill was here, and it was impossible for the Netherworld sect to completely block it. If they were not allowed to refine it openly, there would naturally be people who would refine it secretly. If they refined the Foundation Establishment pill openly, they could at least control it. If they refined it secretly, they would not even have the chance to control it. Luo Jiuyo asked, "Elders, what do you think about killing demonic beasts to refine the Foundation Establishment pill?" The elders expressed their opinions one after another, and the native elders strongly opposed it. They did not lack Foundation Establishment pills, and could cultivate a large number of Foundation Establishment cultivators to control the Netherworld sect. Naturally, they did not want the affiliated families to have more Foundation Establishment pills and cultivate more cultivators to compete with them for power. The foreign families and the family families had the same attitude, which was unprecedented, and they strongly supported it. After all, it was related to the future of their families. Luo Juyo then asked Wang Daoyuan, "Daoyuan, you raised the question. What do you think?" Wang Daoyuan thought for a long time and said, "Sect Master, I think it's better to let it go. Instead of banning it completely and forcing some people to refine it secretly, it's better to restrict it conditionally. For example, for every batch of foundation establishment pills refined, the sect can buy a part of it at a fair price. The remaining part will be handled by the families who refine the pills themselves." Luo Juyo asked, "Elders, what do you think? This could be considered a compromise. Both sides would have the opportunity to obtain more building foundation pills, so there were not many people who objected." Luo Juyo nodded and said, "In that case, we'll follow Dao Yuan's suggestion. Allow the families to collect materials and refine the foundation establishment pills. For every batch of foundation establishment pills, the sect will buy 2 at the price of 50,000 spirit stones each. Those who refine without telling the sect will be punished severely." Everyone agreed in unison. Luo Juyo said with a smile, "Since the foundation establishment pills have become a sect rule, it can't be considered as compensation to Dao Yuan. Since I said I would compensate him, I can't go back on my words. Let's do it this way. In the future, the Wang family will be allowed to refine flying boats of no more than 20 feet in length, and the speed will not be limited. However, they are not allowed to refine flying warships, nor are they allowed to sell flying boats to other forces." Wang Daoyuan, 5th granduncle, and 12th uncle hurriedly bowed and said, "We'll follow sect master's orders." Although Luo Juyo's compensation did not require them to pay anything, the value of this compensation was too high for the Wang family. By removing the speed limit of flying boats, the Wang family could expand their business to the southern part of Qingli County and even other counties. The length limit was also not a problem. At most, they could refine the flying boats to be wider. Chapter 391. Luo Juyo smiled. According to the sect's rules, an elder with authority can be given a grade 3 flying boat. Although you won't be taking up a position in the sect, you'll still receive the same treatment as a manager of the refining hall. Coincidentally, I'll leave the flying boat that Elder Wang Jian is using to you." Wang Daoyuan thanked Luo Juyo again, and the 3 returned to the Jade Spring Peak. Aside from the sect's elder medallion, Luo Juyo and the 12th uncle each received a low-grade grade 3 flying sword. The 12th uncle's flying sword was of the water attribute, while Luo Juyo's flying sword was of the metal attribute. It was called the Baleful Life-Severing Sword. When this magic artifact was refined, some baleful gold was added, causing the entire magic artifact to emit a strong baleful aura. The Baleful Life-Severing Sword was a rare offensive magic artifact in the hands of an ordinary Violet Palace realm cultivator. Nothing can be considered water when one has crossed the sea, and nothing can be considered clouds when one has crossed the Wu Mountain. After obtaining the White Tiger Blade, other flying swords of the metal attribute were no longer pleasing to the eye. This flying sword was just a dispensable substitute. The Violet Palace Realm's grand ceremony, Patriarch's Ascension, and Patriarch's marriage were set to be held 3 months later. After all, there were a lot of things to prepare for when all 4 of them were done at the same time. The third brother, Wang Daochang, was in charge of these matters. The 3 Violet Palace Realm cultivators didn't need to worry about the other elders. Luo Juyo continued to modify the dragonfish's natal artifact, while the 12th uncle began to refine his own profound dragon seatfall sword. The materials required to refine the profound dragon seatfall sword didn't require much effort. Luo Juyo had collected plenty of materials in the past, ranging from the low-grade grade 3 to the high-grade grade 4. The 12th uncle wouldn't lack materials, even if he refined his natal artifact to the high-grade grade 4. Even Wang Daoyuan felt a wave of envy. This was the same benefit as the ancestors' Violet Palace phenomenon. Now that he had obtained the Netherworld sect's permission to refine the foundation establishment pill, there was no need to keep the golden-striped tiger's corpse. Although a third-grade demonic beast's body wouldn't rot after a few decades, its spiritual energy would slowly drain away. Luo Juyo's residence's Luo Juyo's natal artifact. Previously, when he had killed him, he had used the soul-extinguishing bell to injure his soul, and used the sword Qi to injure his internal organs. Hu Pai was also beaten black and blue by the white tiger blade Dharma idol. However, the tiger skin was not damaged. If it was mended, it could still be used for refining weapons. Its inner core and tiger bone were perfectly preserved, but its internal organs were damaged, and its blood essence was lost. When hunting rank 3 demonic beasts, one could use their Niden to replace the true elemental fruit and blood essence, to replace the blood jade ginseng. If he ran out of essence blood, he could just use the blood jade ginseng. He did not lack this thing. In the space of the spirit pearl, he had already collected 6 batches of true essence fruits, and there were even more blood jade ginseng. In the past few years, he had refined quite a few building foundation dawn. Using the true essence fruit to refine, his success rate had reached 80%. Now that it was the inner core of a demonic beast, it was hard to say. A demonic beast's inner core contained a lot of impurities, such as remnant soul essences, a small amount of blood essence, and some blood stains. It needed to go through several processes before it could be used to refine pills. Apart from the Jinyuan fruit tree, the family had planted all the other foundation establishment pills and spiritual herbs, so the Netherworld sect couldn't say anything. After all, Wang Daoyuan would go to the heaven/mountain range when he had nothing to do. Although the blood jade ginseng and the dragon crouching vine were rare, they were not to the extent of being hard to find in 1,000 years like the true essence fruit tree. As long as one dared to go deep into the heaven/mountain range, it was not impossible for a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator to find these 2 spiritual herbs after a few decades. Although there was an additional process of processing the inner core, Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense was strong, and there were no problems. A cauldron of foundation establishment pills was quickly refined, and 7 pills were produced, which was still considered normal. Before opening the cauldron, Wang Daoyuan reported to Yang Yong that he was going to refine the foundation establishment pill. Now that the refinement was completed, he still had to report the results. The Netherworld sect's ability to keep secrets was a little low. On the second day after Wang Daoyuan reported the results of the refinement, several family heads came to visit, including the Shun family of Alchemy Celestial Mountain in the central part of Qingli County. Yang Yong personally came to get the 2 pills that he needed to sell to the Netherworld sect, and he also brought Yang Ziyuan along. Yang Yulin was originally the successor of the Yang family, and should have inherited the position of patriarch long ago. Now, in order to let him cultivate properly, Yang Yong did not let him take the position of patriarch and prioritize cultivation. If there were any matters, it was still Yang Ziyuan, the old patriarch who was nearing the end of his life, who rushed back and forth. Liang Jiaxing also came to the Wang family in the name of visiting his daughter. Wang Daochang led everyone to the auditorium, where Wang Daoyuan received everyone. After everyone was seated, Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "I presume that all the family heads are here for the foundation establishment pill. This Wang is untalented, and only refined 7 foundation establishment pills this time. According to the new rules of the Netherworld sect, 2 of them need to be sold to the sect at a fair price. The Wang family will keep 2, and the other 3 can be exchanged." Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up. Of these 3 foundation establishment pills to be exchanged, 2 would definitely belong to the Yang family, and the 2 families. Needless to say, the Yang family had hundreds of years of friendship with the Wang family, and the 2 families had always been connected by marriage. Wang Daoyuan was half a Yang family member, and the Yang family's Yang Yuqing was going to marry the next patriarch of the Wang family. Even old ancestor Yang came personally, who dared to compete with him. The Liang family also had a marriage alliance with the Wang family, and a foundation establishment cultivator was married into the Wang family. It was reasonable to leave 1 foundation establishment pill for the Liang family. Moreover, the Liang family still had 6 foundation establishment cultivators. This strength was second only to the Wang and Yang families in the north and central parts of Qingli County. The others still had a chance to compete for the third foundation establishment pill. Saying so, Wang Daoyuan took out 2 jade boxes and handed them to Yang Yong, saying, "These are the 2 foundation establishment pills sold to the sect at a fair price. Please inspect them, old ancestor Yang." Yang Yong did not even look at them, and put away the jade boxes, and handed a storage bag to Wang Daoyuan, saying with a smile, "I don't trust others, but how can I not trust my own descendants?" Then, Wang Daoyuan took out 3 more jade boxes, saying, "These 3 foundation establishment pills will be exchanged by the various patriarchs." The others looked at Yang Ziyuan, and he cupped his hands, saying, "The Yang family is willing to pay 60,000 spirit stones for 1 foundation establishment pill." Wang Daoyuan naturally had no objections and nodded. Wang Daochang handed a jade box to Yang Ziyuan, and took the storage bag that Yang Ziyuan handed over. Liang Jiaxing used 70,000 spirit stones to exchange for the second foundation establishment pill. After the exchange between the 2 families, the remaining foundation establishment pill was up to the other families to compete. The various patriarchs were also very tactful, and knew that they were not qualified to compete with the Yang and Liang families, so they naturally did not dare to take out spirit stones. Now the Wang family's net income was 200,000 to 300,000 spirit stones a year. Wang Daoyuan had already received 230,000 spirit stones for this cauldron of foundation establishment pills. Foundation establishment pills were a scarce resource, and naturally could not be exchanged for spirit stones. Some of these patriarchs took out magic artifacts, some took out spirit talismans, and some took out spells and the like. There were also some who took out precious refining materials. Unfortunately, none of them could enter Wang Daoyuan's eyes. Alchemy Celestial Mountain's Shen family's patriarch, Shen Hongchuan, cupped his hands and said, "Elder Wang, this junior's ancestor once obtained a refining method for a level 3 spirit talisman. It's just that the Shen family does not have a level 3 spirit talisman inheritance, and no one can refine it. This spirit talisman refining method has always been kept. This time, I'm willing to use this spirit talisman refining method to exchange for foundation establishment pills. I only hope that after Elder Wang refines the spirit talisman, you can sell a few to my Shen family." Wang Daoyuan was immediately interested. Since Shen Hongchuan was so serious, then this level 3 spirit talisman was definitely not a basic spirit talisman. He asked, "I wonder what Patriarch Shen's spirit talisman is called, and which faction it belongs to." When Shen Hongchuan heard this, he knew that Wang Daoyuan was tempted, and immediately replying Elder Wang, "This spirit talisman is of the magic talisman lineage, called the Golden Lightning Demon Exterminating Talisman." Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. Even if they did not know the Tao of spirit communication talismans, they still had some understanding of spirit talisman lineage. Magic talismans had the greatest explosive power, and their refining materials were the simplest. Although they could not be used repeatedly, they were the simplest to refine. And this Golden Lightning Demon Exterminating Talisman, one could tell that it was a lightning talisman from its name. The power of lightning talismans had always been ranked first among spirit talismans of the same level. To a foundation establishment family clan, a low-grade level 3 lightning talisman could completely be used as a clan-suppressing treasure. Chapter 392. Magic talismans could be refined with ordinary talisman paper. Wang Daoyuan didn't lack talisman paper, spirit ink, or talisman brushes. After learning the refining method of the Golden Thunder Demon Destroying Talisman, he could quickly refine it. Any kind of third-rank thunder talisman of the magic talisman lineage was much stronger than the basic 5 elements godly sword talisman. Wang Daoyuan smiled. "If your refining method of the Golden Thunder Demon Destroying Talisman is complete, you can exchange it for a foundation establishment pill. In the future, I can sell you 5 talismans." Overjoyed, Shen Hongchuan hurriedly replied, "This refining method is indeed complete. There are all kinds of refining methods from 3rd rank low grade to 3rd rank high grade." It didn't matter whether he had the refining method of 3rd rank high grade talismans or not. There wasn't much difference between third-rank low-grade and third-rank high-grade talismans. As long as he knew the refining method of third-rank low-grade talismans, he could deduce the refining method of third-rank high-grade talismans. Of course, it was even better to have it. He could save a lot of time. Wang Daochang took out a jade box and handed it to Shen Hongchuan. Shen Hongchuan also took out 3 jade slips and handed them to Wang Daoyuan through Wang Daochang. Wang Daoyuan took out a jade slip and used his spiritual sense to read the information inside. He nodded and said, "There's no problem with this thing. It's indeed the refining method of third-rank thunder talismans." After the 3 foundation establishment pills were exchanged, a foundation establishment cultivator asked, "May I ask Elder Wang, if we collect the materials to refine the foundation establishment pills ourselves, can we ask Senior to help us refine them?" Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "As long as I'm free, I can help you refine them. I can do it for free, but no matter how many foundation establishment pills are produced, I'll only give you 5 at most. The rest belong to me." The 2 pills that the Netherworld sect bought at a fair price are also among the 5 pills. If there are no more than 5 pills, I won't take any. Even if a cauldron of foundation establishment pills was refined from a demonic beast's inner core, the cost was only a little more than 100,000 spirit stones. As long as there were 3 foundation establishment pills, they could guarantee that they wouldn't suffer a loss. Wang Daoyuan agreed to give them 5 pills. If 2 were sold to the Netherworld sect, they could still get 3 foundation establishment pills. If it was handed over to an ordinary alchemist, it would already be considered good if they could produce 3 or 4 building foundation pills. If the Netherworld sect bought 2 of them, there would still be 1 or 2 left. Even so, the alchemist still had to charge several tens of thousands of spirit stones. It was still the most cost-effective to find Wang Daoyuan to refine pills. Wang Daoyuan was naturally very happy to help others refine pills. He didn't need to waste any effort to collect the ingredients. He only needed to process the ingredients to refine the pills. It wouldn't be a problem for him to refine a cauldron of foundation establishment pills a day, and he could get 2 or 3 foundation establishment pills, which were worth more than 100,000 spirit stones. Earning hundreds of thousands of spirit stones in a day was not something that all golden core cultivators could do. After the exchange of foundation establishment pills was finished, everyone dispersed. Wang Daoyuan also returned to his abode to study the Golden Thunder Demon Exterminating Talisman. This Shen Hongchuan really knew how to do business. The Shen family didn't have a rank 3 talisman master, so there was no value in keeping the refining method of the Golden Thunder Demon Extermination Talisman. He took it out to exchange for a foundation establishment pill and the right to buy 5 talismans. The Shen family could still keep a copy of the refining method, and they would not suffer any losses. As for the 5 talismans, if properly stored, it wouldn't be a problem to preserve them for 700 to 800 years. With these 5 talismans, no foundation establishment cultivator would dare to provoke the Shen family within 700 to 800 years. Of course, Wang Daoyuan also made a huge profit. Previously, he only had the refining method of rank 3 basic talismans. The Tao of talismans was already of little help to him. Now that he had the Golden Thunder Demon Extermination Talisman, he had an extremely powerful means to deal with enemies. It could also increase the family's foundation. Talismans were very similar to rank 3 talismans, but the runes were extremely complicated. It was very difficult to refine, and consumed a lot of spiritual sense. With the power of Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense, he could only refine 2 or 3 talismans a day. After trying more than 20 times, he finally succeeded in refining a Golden Thunder Demon Extermination Talisman. He went to the west of the Jade Spring Peak, where there were few people, and tested its power. After detonating the Golden Thunder Demon Extermination Talisman, a golden lightning bolt, as thick as a water bucket, appeared above the talisman. When the golden lightning struck the ground, sparks flew in all directions, leaving behind a huge pit with a diameter of 300 meters and a depth of over 30 meters. There was no need to talk about the speed of the lightning technique. Those below the Violet Palace realm wouldn't be able to dodge it even if they grasped a high-grade movement art. Early Violet Palace realm cultivators also wouldn't be able to dodge the attack without a movement art. The might of the Golden Thunder Demon Extermination Talisman was roughly 20 times that of the Golden Thunder Demon Extermination Talisman. It was enough to threaten the life of an early Violet Palace realm cultivator. If a peak foundation establishment cultivator was struck by it, there was almost no chance of survival. To allow a foundation establishment clan to possess the strength to threaten a Violet Palace realm cultivator, it wouldn't be excessive to sell a talisman for 30 to 50,000 spirit stones, right? However, this item couldn't be sold in large quantities. The raw materials weren't easy to obtain. After refining a few and placing them in the clan's treasury, it would be more or less enough to be used as a trump card. 2 months quickly passed. During this period of time, Wang Daoyuan had been refining the Golden Thunder Demon Extermination Talisman. He refined 2 to 3 times a day, but only managed to refine 30 or so talismans. The success rate was less than 20%. The day of the Violet Palace Grand Ceremony quickly arrived. Wang Daoyuan, on the other hand, didn't need to go out to socialize. He and his 12th uncle sat in the hall. The task of receiving the guests from the Violet Palace realm was also handed over to his 5th uncle. He had to admit that his 5th uncle's idea of holding 4 joyous events at once was pretty good. He only needed to prepare once to receive 4 gifts. Since the 4 joyous events were held at once, the various factions were embarrassed to use 4 low-grade gifts to make up the numbers. There were quite a few factions that took out 3rd-grade spiritual items, and there were over a dozen factions that came to present gifts. Over 90% of the clans in the Clearglass County were present. Needless to say, the clans in the northern part of the Heian County had been doing business for many years. It was impossible for them not to come at this time. Even some of the old clans in the other counties came to present gifts. After all, the Wang clan had 3 Violet Palace realms, and all of them had the potential to form a golden core. They were already the strongest among the old clans. Wang Daoyuan was only 120 years old, and he was already a steward. Furthermore, he was highly regarded by the sect master. His future was limitless. In the eyes of some of the clans, he was already the leader of the clan. On the Netherworld sect's side, 3 groups of cultivators came to congratulate them. Elder Zhou Qi represented the Netherworld sect's sect master to congratulate them. He gave over 10 violet rhythm pills and a few 3rd-grade magic artifacts. Su Tingxian represented the refining hall's hall master to congratulate his colleagues, and also gave them 3rd-grade magic artifacts. He was recommended by Hall Master Gu, and obtained the qualifications to establish a Violet Palace realm together with the old drunkard. Both of them succeeded, and Su Tingxian was now the steward of the refining hall. There was also the Netherworld sect's elder Luo Xianming. He was Wang Daolong's master, and he came personally to congratulate them. The gifts he gave were nothing more than 3rd-grade magic artifacts, pills, and basic 3rd-grade spiritual talismans. The other clans also sent some refining materials. Finally, a Violet Palace realm cultivator came from the Divine Weapon Pavilion. 8th uncle announced the gift list. The Divine Weapon Pavilion's Taoist Lei Yen, 2 high-grade 3rd-grade magic artifacts, 6 mid-grade 3rd-grade magic artifacts, and 10 low-grade 3rd-grade magic artifacts. Taoist Lei Yin was really honest. He gave out piles of magic artifacts. When the other guests heard the contents of the gift list, they were dumbfounded. A pile of 3rd-grade magic artifacts, and 2 high-grade 3rd-grade magic artifacts. 5th uncle invited the guest into the hall. The guest cupped his hands towards Wang Daoyuan and said, "I am He Yuanqing, Taoist Lei Yan's in-name disciple. Junior brother Wang Daoyuan's cultivation has reached the pinnacle of foundation establishment, and he's currently in seclusion to comprehend the Violet Palace realm. Master has ordered me to congratulate you on behalf of junior brother Daoyuan." Wang Daoyuan stood up and returned the greeting. "Thank you for coming, Daoyu. Please take a seat." He Yuanqing smiled. "There's no need to be so polite. Master said that junior brother Yuan learned his refining insights and the divine sky-burning art, so he can be considered half a disciple. Junior brother Daoyuan will be able to establish a Violet Palace realm in at most 8 years. When the time comes, please come to the Divine Weapon Pavilion for a gathering. When Zhou Qi and Luo Xianming heard this, their faces changed. Since Taoist Lei Yin intended to take Wang Daoyuan as his disciple, he might go to the Divine Weapon Pavilion. This would be a huge loss for the Netherworld sect. Wang Daoyuan and his brother had both entered the Divine Weapon Pavilion, and the Wang clan was the dominant clan in Clearglass County. In the future, would Clearglass County belong to the Netherworld sect, or the Divine Weapon Pavilion? Chapter 393. When the other cultivators heard He Yuanqing's words, they began to ponder in their hearts. Wang Daoyin was already at the pinnacle of the Foundation establishment realm, and was Taoist Lei Yan's favorite disciple. He only became Taoist Lei Yan's disciple when he was in his 40s, and wasted 30 years of his cultivation. Now he was only 110 years old, and was about to establish the Violet Palace. With such talent in Taoist Lei Yan's favor, it wouldn't be a problem for him to form the Golden Core. Now that Taoist Lei Yan had the intention to take Wang Daoyuan in, everyone started to have doubts. Everyone knew about Wang Daoyuan's talent. It had been 10,000 years since a penta-spiritual root cultivator formed the Golden Core. However, Wang Daoyuan was a little abnormal. He was proficient in alchemy, artifact and talisman arrays, and could establish the Violet Palace so quickly. Even the Netherworld sect's sect master said that he had great potential, and even surpassed Taoist Yu Chuan. Coupled with Wang Shui, the Wang clan might have 3 Golden Core cultivators in the future. Wang Daoyuan didn't take it seriously and cupped his hands. My younger brother is naughty. Thank you for your efforts. I will definitely head to the Divine Weapon Pavilion when the time comes. With everyone present, the ceremony officially began. First was the Violet Palace Grand Ceremony. Fifth great-uncle read out a eulogy in front of the ancestral shrine, and praised Wang Daoyuan and Wang Shui. Then the two of them paid respects to their ancestors. After these procedures were completed, Wang Daoyuan and Wang Shui successively spoke of their comprehensions towards the Violet Palace realm. There were a dozen Violet Palace realm cultivators who came to congratulate them, and they also spoke about their comprehension. There were 160 Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators present. A dozen Violet Palace Realm cultivators spoke about the Tao, and 100 Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators listened. This scene could only be seen in major sects, and it had never happened in a Violet Palace Realm clan. Some of the Wang clan's juniors weren't idle either. Wang Daochang brought a few Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators, and 30 Qi Refinement Realm cultivators, to the Yang clan's Great Wood Peak. After the Tao lecture, Wang Daochang also returned. When everyone entered the hall, 5th great-uncle and 12th uncle sat on the main seats. Wang Daoyuan was the master of ceremonies, guiding the newlyweds through the ceremony. After the ceremony, the newlyweds entered the bridal chamber. Of course, the third brother, Wang Daochang, could not enter the bridal chamber so quickly. There was still the clan head handover ceremony. The patriarch handover ceremony was no different from when the 12th uncle took over. 5th great-uncle read out the eulogy, praising the 12th uncle for transforming the clan from a Foundation Establishment clan to a Violet Palace Realm clan, with 3 Violet Palace Realm cultivators, and a dozen Foundation Establishment cultivators. The 12th uncle was simply taking advantage of the situation. All these years, he had been a hands-off boss. Wang Daoyuan was the one who did most of the business. It was thanks to 5th great-uncle that they were able to clear out the 100 Spirit Mountain and take over 10% of the 100 Spirit Mountain's businesses. The specific matters were handled by the third brother, Wang Daochang. All he did was clean up the demonic beasts in Fallen Dragon Ridge. He did nothing else. After the eulogy was read out, the 12th uncle handed the Stormy Wave sword and the patriarch's seal to Wang Daochang. The patriarch's succession ceremony was also over. Now there was only the banquet left. The Wang family's restaurant was famous in Qingli County. Their wine and dishes were naturally to the satisfaction of the guests. Luo Xianming and Zhou Qi, who were sitting at the front, were currently conversing with each other. Zhou Qi asked, "What do you think about Lei Yan wanting to take Wang Daoyuan as his disciple?" Luo Xianming replied, If this succeeds, our netherworld sect will lose a talent. If Wang Daoyuan and his brother reach the Golden Core realm in the future, our netherworld sect will not dare to interfere with the Wang family's business. The Wang family's current business has already expanded to half of Qingli County. Previously, the sect master had relaxed the restrictions on the Wang family's flying boats. The Wang family's business will soon expand to the southern part of Qingli County. Wang Daoyuan also suggested that the sect master let go of his control over the Foundation Establishment Pill. With his strength, the rank 3 demonic beasts in the Skysplit Mountain Range are materials for him to refine the Foundation Establishment Pill. If this continues, Qingli County will become the Wang family's territory. Previously, when the sect master let Wang Daoyuan take up a position in the artifact refining hall, a group of idiots opposed it. Now it's troublesome. Zhou Qi pondered for a moment and said, "We have to report this matter to the sect master. We can't just watch as the Wang family escapes our control." Luo Xianming nodded and took out a communication jade talisman. Holding it in his hand, he began to send a message to the sect master. Wang Daoyuan's divine sense was stronger than that of ordinary middle Zifu realm cultivators. He sensed the two's divine sense fluctuations. However, he couldn't say it out loud. He could only pretend that he didn't notice and continue to entertain the other Zifu realm cultivators. After 2 hours, everyone had eaten and drank to their heart's content and took their leave. The 3 Zifu realm cultivators from the Netherworld sect continued to stay, unwilling to leave. After everyone else left, the third brother and Wang Daochang also went to the bridal chamber. Only the 3 Zifu realm cultivators from the Wang family and the 3 from the Netherworld sect remained in the assembly hall. Fifth great uncle cupped his hands and said, "What other matters do the 3 elders have?" Su Tingxian and Zhou Qi both looked at Luo Xianming. After all, he was a member of the sect master's clan and had the highest status. Luo Xianming smiled. "It's nothing major. I just have an official matter and a private matter to discuss with Steward Wang. Let's talk about official matters first. The sect master wants to know about the Golden Lightning Demon Exterminating Talisman, so he sent me to convey his message. Because the Lightning Talisman is effective against many cultivators in our sect, the sect master hopes that the Wang family won't casually sell this talisman, lest it be used against the Netherworld sect. The Netherworld sect's legacies mainly focused on the Tao of corpses and ghosts. A low-grade 3rd-grade Golden Lightning Demon Exterminating Talisman had a chance of heavily injuring a middle Zifu realm ghost cultivator. If this talisman was sold in large quantities, the Netherworld sect's Zifu realm cultivators would have to keep one eye open in the future. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "That's not a problem. This talisman definitely won't be sold in large quantities. Besides, the success rate of refining this talisman is extremely low. The Wang family doesn't have enough 3rd-grade talisman paper and spirit ink, so we don't have the ability to sell them in large quantities. We promised to sell 5 talismans to the Shin family and won't sell them to anyone else. May I know what Elder Luo's personal matter is?" Luo Xianming replied, "Selling 5 talismans to the Shin family isn't a big deal. This is a private matter that Hongming wants me to ask. Is the soul of the golden-striped tiger that Steward Wang killed still around? He just established his Violet Palace not long ago, and his Violet Palace phenomenon is the Nether River Ghost Tiger. He needs the soul of a 3rd-grade tiger-type demon beast to refine his natal magic artifact. If the soul is still there, I'm willing to buy it for 100,000 spirit stones. If Steward Wang is willing to sell the golden-striped tiger's body, I'm willing to buy it for 200,000 spirit stones. What do you think, Steward Wang?" The soul of a 3rd-grade demon beast could be used to refine a wicked magic artifact or a soul talisman. Wang Daoyuan didn't care about wicked magic artifacts, and he didn't have the method to refine a soul talisman. There was no point in keeping the golden-striped tiger's soul, since he wanted to sell it anyway. The golden-striped tiger's body could be used to refine many 3rd-grade magic artifacts. However, the Wang family didn't lack 3rd-grade magic artifacts, and refining them would be useless. It would only be valuable if it was used to refine a combined magic artifact. However, he didn't know how to refine a combined magic artifact. Wang Daoyuan replied, Luo Hongming, Daoyu and I are old acquaintances. If he needs something, I have no objections. I'll give the golden striped tiger's body and soul to you, Elder Luo. He took out a spirit beast pouch and a profound jade gourd and gave them to Luo Xianming. He couldn't bear to give away the soul-capturing bottle. Instead, he stored the golden striped tiger's soul in a profound jade gourd. The profound jade gourd contained a lot of qi and baleful qi that could be used to temporarily preserve the soul. Luo Xianming took the spirit beast pouch and the profound jade gourd and said, I thank Steward Wang on behalf of Hongming. He then handed a storage pouch to Wang Daoyuan. There were 300,000 spirit stones inside. After the transaction, Luo Xianming was stunned for a moment before he took out a communication jade talisman. He used his divine sense to read the message and said with a smile, The sect master has another order. He wants to discuss it with Steward Wang. Chapter 394. Wang Daoyuan bowed and said, If sect master has any instructions, Elder Luo can speak frankly. Luo Xianming nodded and said, I won't hide it from you. Previously, I reported the matter of Venerable Lei Yin wanting to take you in as a disciple to the sect master. The sect leader wants me to ask what Steward Wang plans to do. Should I reject spiritual master Lei Yan's good intentions? Or should I leave the Netherworld sect and join the Divine Weapon Pavilion? Wang Daoyuan laughed. I think Elder Luo and sect master have misunderstood. If it was before, I still had the possibility of joining the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Now, I'm an elder of the Netherworld sect. If Taoist Lei Yin were to let me join the Divine Weapon Pavilion, it would be the same as snatching someone from the Netherworld sect. This would go against the Divine Weapon Pavilion's rule of not interfering with the affairs of local powers. I'm sure Elder Luo knows about my brother-in-law's marriage. He wanted to marry my sister into the Divine Weapon Pavilion, but was stopped. Taoist Thunderflame fought with the other elders of the Divine Weapon Pavilion, but in the end, didn't he still have to marry into the Wang family? He is a disciple personally raised by Taoist Lei Yin, and even he cannot make the Divine Weapon Pavilion break the rules, let alone me, a disciple who became a disciple halfway through. On top of that, I'm a Penta-spiritual roots cultivator, and I have a cultivation method that suits me. I can't learn any of Taoist Lei Yan's unique techniques and spells. If I can't inherit Taoist Lei Yan's techniques and spells, what's the point of him taking me in as his disciple? Therefore, Taoist Lei Yin would at most take me in as a disciple in name, and give me some pointers in refining, but would not let me join the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Elder Luo, think about it. Our underworld sect's elders have become disciples of Reverend Lei Yin. In the future, if the sect wants to buy some magic tools and the like, wouldn't it be easier to get things done with my connections? As far as I am concerned, joining the Divine Weapon Pavilion would not bring me any benefits. Now that I've already established my Violet Palace, what I need the most is nothing more than spiritual items that can help me form my gold core. Even a top power, like the Divine Weapon Pavilion, was unable to produce such a thing steadily. The direct descendants of the Jindan elders in the sect, as well as the direct disciples, were not enough. Would they give it to an outsider like me? To put it bluntly, Taoist Thunderflame was not far from 900 years old. He only had 100 years left to live. Before he passes away, neither Dao Yin nor I will be able to form our gold core. After the end of his lifespan, my brother's position in the Divine Weapon Pavilion was a little awkward, let alone me. In the Netherworld sect, I was appreciated by the sect master and hall master Gu. Elder Luo, you're also my big brother's master. Daoyu Luo Hongming and I are old acquaintances. There's also a large group of old cultivators who have good relations with our Wang clan. Elder Jin was able to become the vice hall master of the punishment hall and become one of the upper echelons of the sect. With my talent, my achievements shouldn't be lower than Elder Jin's, right? There was not much point in entering the Divine Weapon Pavilion. He would lose his connections in future in the Netherworld sect for nothing. I would be a fool to do that. Elder Luo, please pass on my words to the sect master. I have no intention of betraying the sect. Luo Xianming pondered for a moment after hearing this, before he said, Manager Wang is right. I'll pass your words to the sect leader. I still have important matters to attend to in the sect, so I'll take my leave now. Wang Daoyuan and the other two escorted them out of the mountain. The next day, the new and old patriarchs handed over the account books and other things. The new patriarch had to gather the elders to discuss the future of the clan. After all the elders were present, Wang Daochang walked in energetically. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, Third brother's health is good. All the elders burst into laughter. Wang Daochang glanced at him and said, I married Yuqing to block a knife for you. You still have the nerve to make fun of me? Let's see who will be willing to block a knife for you in the future, when someone asks you for a marriage alliance? I think you like to block a knife. Wang Daoyuan had a mischievous smile on his face. He has quite a few younger brothers and nephews. Furthermore, there are 2 uncles around. The 12th uncle coughed softly and said, All right, stop joking. Let's get down to business. Then he handed a stack of account books and a few jade slips to Wang Daochang. All right, everything I need to hand over is here. I haven't finished refining my natal magic weapon yet. I'll take my leave first. Everyone stood up and saluted. We respectfully send Grand Supreme Elder off. Wang Daochang looked at the account books and jade slips and said, In these years, the clan's population and industry have improved greatly. There are more than 200,000 ordinary clansmen and more than 310 cultivators. The clan's annual income has reached 270,000 spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan was a bit dazed. I remember the last time we participated in the war. Didn't the clan only have 140 people? It's only been 30 years or so, and it's more than doubled? The third brother's face was full of joy. This is all thanks to the population policy you proposed. Most of the clan's cultivators over the age of 70 have already married and taken in concubines. They have at least 3 or 4 children, and there are many clansmen with more than 10 children. Now, there are more than 300 descendants of cultivators under the age of 10. Among them, there should be 50 to 60 cultivators. At present, there are more than 70 cultivators with the Dao character in the clan, and more than 10 of them have already passed away. There are more than 140 cultivators with the Ming character in the clan, and the number will increase greatly in the future. There are already more than 70 cultivators with the De character in the clan, and there are still more than 30 cultivators who have married or taken in. In these 30 years on average, the clan has gained 4 or 5 new cultivators every year. Moreover, the growth rate is still gradually increasing. When the cultivators with the De character in the clan grow up again, they'll be able to swallow the entire Fallen Dragon Ridge. Not counting Big Brother and Dao Yin, the clan has 13 foundation establishment cultivators on the surface, more than 20 peak chi condensation cultivators, and more than 50 late chi condensation cultivators. In these years, apart from population, the clan has also added a lot of halls. Among them are the Tool Refining Hall, Formation Hall, General Affairs Hall, Spirit Silkworm Hall, 100 Arts Hall, Battle Hall and Dark Hall. In terms of industry, transportation, spirit silkworms, and restaurants have the highest income, earning more than 50,000 spirit stones every year. Next up is our Wang clan's mining and spirit wood industry, which has always been the largest. Added together, we earn 70,000 to 80,000 spirit stones. Of the 4 pill, tool, and talisman industries, apart from the formation industry, that doesn't directly make a profit, the other 3 can still earn 10 to 20,000 spirit stones every year. Currently, there are 7 second-rank pill refiners, 6 second-rank talisman masters, 5 second-rank tool refiners, and only 3 second-rank formation masters. Now, 26th Uncle's formation skills have already reached second-rank superior grade. With Zhao Liang's cooperation, he can already refine flying boats. He has also reached foundation establishment, so you don't have to worry about setting up formations and refining flying boats. Now that the Netherworld sect has relaxed the restrictions on flying boats, the next step is to expand their business to the Wanchuan market in the southern part of Qingli County. The clan's reform policies were all formulated by you. Although you didn't care after coming up with the idea, You were the initiator after all. Are you satisfied with the results of the reform? Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "This has already greatly exceeded my expectations. What else is there to be dissatisfied with?" Wang Daochang continued, "You've been the elder of punishments for more than 80 years, but you haven't taken care of a single matter of the Hall of Punishments. The 12th uncle appointed a chief steward to manage the affairs of the Hall of Punishments on your behalf. Now that the Grand Elder is vacant, who do you think is suitable?" Wang Daoyuan thought for a moment and said, "Now that we have sufficient manpower, the Grand Elder doesn't have much to do. In addition, third brother is in charge. His ability to handle practical matters isn't very strong. The main thing is to know the situation of the clan's various industries. He also has to have enough prestige to convince the other elders. In my opinion, Aunt Gio is not bad." In the early years, Aunt Gio was also known for her valiant strength. In fights of magical powers, she could be on par with 8th uncle. But after all, she was a water attribute cultivator and didn't have much talent. It just so happened that water attribute cultivators had great talent and first-rate fighting abilities. Without talent, their fighting abilities were extremely poor. She didn't have enough talent. After reaching foundation establishment, her fighting abilities were somewhat stagnant. Thus, she rarely went out these years and basically handled various affairs in the clan. Hearing this, Aunt Gio was a little surprised. "I've only managed the Guardian Hall these years, and haven't managed the other halls. I don't know how to handle the other halls." Chapter 395. Wang Daochang smiled and said, "What Daoyuan said makes sense. Aunt Gio, you've been managing the Guardian Hall all these years, and have dealt with various industries. You've also helped me and 12th uncle deal with a lot of affairs. Your ability to deal with affairs is not weak. Only you and 8th uncle have enough prestige. 8th uncle is a bit impatient, and isn't suitable to be the Grand Elder. The others don't have enough prestige, and won't be able to convince the masses. It's better for you to be the Grand Elder." The other elders also expressed their approval. Aunt Gio was steady, and had experience in managing affairs. She was indeed a suitable candidate to be the Grand Elder. Wang Daochang continued, "Aunt Gio, all the elders support you. You take on this heavy responsibility. If there's something you can't solve, just leave it to me." Aunt Gio nodded and said, "Since all the elders support me, then I'll be the Grand Elder. I'll abdicate when there's a more suitable candidate in the future." Wang Daoyuan got up and said, "Since the Patriarch and Grand Elder have been appointed, I have nothing to do here. The third-ranked demonic beasts have been active in the Fallen Dragon Ridge recently. I'll go there and see if I can get a few more furnaces of Foundation Establishment pills." After saying that, he left the Jade Spring Peak on his sword, and headed to the Fallen Dragon Ridge. He wasn't in a hurry to cultivate. Without the Violet Harmony pill, an ordinary Violet Palace Realm cultivator would need 70 to 80 years to reach the mid-stage from the early-stage Violet Palace Realm. If they encountered a bottleneck, it was common for them to not be able to break through in 100 years. Even those with better talent would need about 50 years. Even if there were enough Violet Harmony pills, it would still take 30 years. Before there were enough Violet Harmony pills, cultivating in seclusion wouldn't have any obvious effect. For Wang Daoyuan, the best way to increase his cultivation speed was to find the 5 elemental spiritual fires and use them to form spiritual power seeds. Back then, 5 elements Taoist refined the dust returner flame into a spiritual power seed and cultivated from the early stage Golden Core realm to the peak Golden Core realm in less than 200 years. If he could find the 5 elemental spiritual fires, cultivating from the early stage Violet Palace realm to the peak Violet Palace realm would be a piece of cake. Unfortunately, he couldn't find any other elemental spiritual fires after obtaining the Gui Water Nether Flame. There wasn't even a rumor about the metal elemental spiritual fire. There was a lot of information about fire attribute spiritual fire, and even the location of these spiritual fire could be determined. However, Wang Daoyuan did not have the ability to take these spiritual fire, because the owners of these spiritual flames were all top experts in Beiyuan Xiuxian. Most of them were at the pinnacle of the Golden Core realm, and some were even half a step into the Yuanying realm. Half-step Yuanying meant that one had grasped the abilities of Yuanying cultivators. They should have been able to form Yuanying, but they were limited by the concentration of spiritual energy and spiritual items in Beiyuan Xiuxian, so they were stuck at the last step. In terms of strength, they were much stronger than those at the peak of the Golden Elixir realm, but they had not reached the point of qualitative change. If the outside world allowed it, they would soon become true Yuanying cultivators. The top forces in Beiyuan Xiuxian all had half-step Yuanying cultivators. With Wang Daoyuan's current strength, he did not even dare to think about the spiritual fire in these people's hands. He also did not dare to ask anyone to find out about the spiritual fire, or he would easily expose the secret of his cultivation technique. He could only ask Zhou Luan to find out where the ancient cultivators, who played with fire, had left behind cave abodes or tombs. There might be some hope. The most important thing now was to improve his alchemy skills and refine the purple rime elixir and the demon-subduing gourd. The east of Fallen Dragon Ridge was not far from the territory of some rank 3 demon beasts. It was inevitable that some of them would come looking for trouble. With his strength, killing low-grade or mid-grade rank 3 demon beasts was not a big problem. However, it would cause a big commotion and attract other rank 3 demon beasts. With the demon-subduing gourd, he could quickly subdue the demon beasts. The demon beasts subdued by the gourd were captured alive. Their bodies, demon cores, and souls were all intact, and could definitely be sold for a good price. He was only a low-grade rank 3 blacksmith now, so he could only refine a low-grade rank 3 demon-subduing gourd. The Xianyuan gourds in his dimension were only high-grade rank 2. To refine a low-grade rank 3 demon-subduing gourd, he had to use rank 3 materials. Wang Daoyuan intended to consume some heaven ferocious metal to refine into the gourd to strengthen it. Otherwise, it would be easily destroyed after subduing a rank 3 demon beast. The malevolent aura of the heaven ferocious metal had a certain deterrent effect on souls. When the demon-subduing gourd attacked the souls of demon beasts, it could also play a supporting role. The heaven ferocious metal and grand unity essence gold that Wang Daoyuan put away were both middle-grade rank 3. If the Xianyuan gourd could grow to low-grade rank 3, he might be able to refine a middle-grade rank 3 demon-subduing gourd by fusing those two materials. There was no need to consider the tool pattern. A rank 3 blacksmith could use a rank 2 tool pattern to produce a rank 3 tool pattern with the same function. He had refined a rank 2 demon-subduing gourd before, so it was naturally not difficult for him to refine a rank 3 one. It only took him a month to study the tool pattern and refine the gourd. After the demon-subduing gourd was refined, Wang Daoyuan left Fallen Dragon Ridge with it. He used the spirit concealment technique to hide his aura and headed towards the southeast. At the easternmost end of Fallen Dragon Ridge, more than 500 kilometers to the east, there was no spirit vein here, but the concentration of spirit chi was comparable to an upper-grade rank 2 spirit vein. Every 100 to 200 kilometers, he would encounter a rank 3 spirit vein. A rank 3 spirit vein here would definitely have a rank 3 demon beast. Wang Daoyuan released the soul-chasing bees to find a suitable target. Currently, the soul-chasing bee king was already a middle-grade rank 2 spirit insect. Ordinary soul-chasing bees had also become low-grade rank 2 spirit insects. Even so, the honey and even the royal jelly of the soul-chasing bees were no longer useful to Wang Daoyuan. They would not be of much use to help him in battle. However, ordinary soul-chasing bees could fly at a speed of 4,000 kilometers per hour, which was faster than Wang Daoyuan's sword kinesis flight. They were still very valuable to scout the way. After releasing 100 soul-chasing bees to scout the surroundings, most of them returned after 15 minutes. It was normal to lose a few soul-chasing bees in a place where rank 3 demon beasts roamed. The soul-chasing bees found a total of 7 low-grade rank 3 demon beasts within a radius of 500 kilometers. The closest one was the profound armored golden-toothed crocodile, more than 100 kilometers to the southeast. This fellow was a dual-attribute demon beast of metal and water. Its physical body was extremely strong, and ordinary mid-stage Violet Palace realm cultivators would find it difficult to break through its defense. However, its soul was relatively weak among those of the same level. The demon-subduing gourd relied on attacking the soul to subdue demon beasts. It was very suitable to deal with the profound armored golden-toothed crocodile. After trekking more than 100 kilometers to the southeast, there was a small lake with a diameter of more than 300 meters. The profound armored golden-toothed crocodile was sunbathing on the shore of the lake. This fellow was almost 200 meters long, and there were 50 to 60 silver teeth of different lengths in its mouth. The scales on its body were pitch black. Among these teeth, there were more than 10 that could be used to refine flying swords. This set of scales was enough to refine more than 20 sets of defensive soft armor. A rank 3 magic artifact was worth at least 20,000 spirit stones. After killing this fellow, he would get 600,000 to 700,000 spirit stones. It had to be said that if one had the ability to enter the heaven/mountain range to kill demon beasts, they would really earn spirit stones. There were many rank 3 demon beasts around, and one might be beaten up by a group. This was exchanging one's life for spirit stones. Wang Daoyuan concealed his aura and stealthily crept over. When he was half a kilometer away, Wang Daoyuan used the misty cloud escape and flew through the air. In an instant, he arrived in front of the profound armored golden-toothed crocodile and activated the demon-subduing gourd. This fellow's physical strength was too strong. Even if its soul was suppressed, it still had a strong resistance by relying on its physical strength. The demon-subduing gourd didn't have enough stamina and couldn't forcefully store it. Continuing the stalemate wasn't a solution. The white tiger blade would cause too much of a commotion, and he wouldn't be able to kill it if he couldn't hit its vitals. He could only use the soul-extinguishing bell. The bell rang, and the profound armored golden-toothed crocodile was stunned for a moment before it was sucked into the gourd. Demon beasts had extremely sharp hearing, and the sound of the soul-extinguishing bell might have alerted the surrounding demon beasts. To be safe, it was better to run first. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.